I'm a 35-year-old office worker, and my husband Kevin, who is 6 years older, and I have been married for 9 years. Right now, due to some reasons, I'm living with my mom. Let me explain how I ended up in this situation. 4 years ago, Kevin and I built a house. At that time, Kevin had just changed jobs, and we didn't have much money saved or a big income. Kevin used to work for a big company, but he faced constant hidden bullying from his boss. This caused him sleep problems, and eventually he couldn't go to work anymore. He saw a psychiatrist, took a break for about 3 months, but when he didn't get better, he quit his job. After that, we got by on just my salary. Kevin didn't work for 3 months, but slowly started to feel better. He began eating and sleeping well again, and his psychiatrist was pleased with his quick recovery. My cheerful, loving Kevin was back. He then started looking for a new job. His experience at the big company helped, but finding a job was hard because he left his last job due to mental health issues. During this time, we found a small company that needed him. The salary was about a third of what he used to make, but he was happy to be working again. He said it was much better than being without a job, which made me happy. This job was also in the field he wanted to work in. We wanted to have children, but it was clear that life would be tough if I stopped working, so I continued working. I also love my job, and we decided not to have children at that time. Since it was just the 3 of us, our life was peaceful until my mother, Sarah, was paralyzed in a car accident and needed a wheelchair to get around. My dad had passed away when I was in middle school, and Sarah had been living alone since then. Our family home was old and not suitable for a wheelchair, with many steps. Kevin then said, "I'm worried, let's live together." Sarah and I were surprised, but I appreciated Kevin's unexpected kindness. Since Kevin had just changed jobs, we were unsure about the future, but we decided to apply for a mortgage. As we expected, it was tough to get a loan because Kevin hadn't been at his job for long. However, we were determined and didn't give up. After trying with several mortgage companies, we finally found one that worked with us and approved our loan. We bought our dream home, which I had always imagined, filled with the smell of wood, thick wooden beams on the ceiling, custom storage spaces, a kitchen tailored for my height, and spacious cypress flooring. Importantly, it was a single-story, barrier-free house, perfect for living comfortably in a wheelchair. We were excited as the house was being built and visited the construction site every day. When our carefully designed home was finished, it had a large yard where my mom, who now seldom went outside, could enjoy sunbathing. However, there was a catch with the land. It was given to us by Kevin's grandfather, who adored Kevin. Kevin's family wasn't wealthy, but when his grandfather was diagnosed with cancer, he started to distribute his assets, giving us the largest plot of land. It felt like winning the lottery, but the land was just a 10-minute walk from Kevin's family home. When we told them my mother would be moving in with us, Kevin's sister laughed and said, "Why is your mother moving in too? How shameless is your family?" Kevin's mother told me marrying someone different like you would bring trouble. She also harshly said it was terrible for her son to have to care for an old person and called me a curse. Even then, Kevin stood up for my mother and me. He said the land was a gift from his grandfather, and no one should complain. Kevin's mother and sister are really mean. It's amazing that Kevin, who is so kind, comes from that family. He's like a beautiful flower that grew out of mud. Kevin always says his family shows him how not to be. Kevin thinks his grandfather gave us the land because he wanted us to take care of his mother in her old age. He also gave other properties away. Kevin's sister got a parking lot that's a 10-minute walk from their home. It's smaller than our land but makes good money from parking fees. Honestly, I would have preferred that, but a gift is still a gift, and we are thankful. Thanks to my grandfather-in-law, we could build our house without paying for the land and used it to help get a loan. When the house was finished, we invited Kevin's mother and sister's family over. The builders told us they had visited the house several times without asking us. They showed up late without apologizing and said, "This is kind of like Grandpa's house, so it's like our house too." Kevin's sister came in with muddy shoes and said the house smelled nice and didn't need air fresheners. She and her husband walked around with muddy shoes, ignoring the slippers we offered. When I suggested they use slippers, she laughed and said it was too much trouble and we could just clean the floor. The visit was uncomfortable from the start, and they didn't bring anything with them. When they saw my mother's room, which is spacious and sunny, Kevin's mother said she would like that room. My mother's room is like a duplex with its own kitchen, almost a second living space. "I want to live here," said my mother-in-law during the third point of her conversation. She then told my mother, "You were lucky to have that accident, weren't you? Thanks to being paralyzed, you moved from that old shack to this nice house. Isn't that a lucky turn of events?" My mother said nothing but looked very sad. I was really angry inside, but before I could say anything, Kevin spoke up. "What'd you just say? There are things you should and shouldn't say. It makes me question your humanity. I can't even believe you're part of my family. You're the worst. Apologize now," Kevin demanded firmly. Whether they were amused or not, my mother and sister-in-law glared at me. Then my sister-in-law angrily asked Kevin, "What's this all about?" "It's a total turnoff. It's not cool to invite people over and then be rude to them just because you built the house. You think you can act superior." The mother-in-law chimed in, "My son messed up by marrying you. You're a jinx." Kevin didn't stay silent. "Enough is enough. This mess started because of your rude comments. You said the accident was a good thing and called my wife a jinx. I will not forgive that." The mother and sister-in-law looked frustrated by Kevin's strong response. Then my mother, who had been watching everything, said with regret, "It's okay. I am here because of the accident, and it's true I moved from a rundown house to this beautiful one. Your son has always been kind to me. Thank you." Perhaps feeling guilty, the mother and sister-in-law left, giving me a nasty look. My mother then apologized to Kevin. "I'm sorry if I upset your mother and sister. I'm sorry for ruining the mood at our housewarming party." Kevin responded, "No, I should be the one apologizing. It's embarrassing how they lack decency. I'm really sorry, but I am happy to be living with you. Please understand that." With that, my mother started to tear up. Since we live near Kevin's parents' house, the neighbors all know us well. They've known Kevin since he was a child and are very kind to us. 4 months have passed since that day. We were finally settling into our new home, and my mother started to smile more. When I received an unexpected call from home while I was at work, it surprised me. We rarely get calls from home, so it surprised me. My bad feeling was right. My mom, sounding very upset, called to tell me something awful. Kevin had collapsed at work. I was shocked and spoke to my right away. Then I rushed to the hospital. On the way, I tried to stay calm by imagining that Kevin would be okay. When I got there, joking around like always. But when I arrived, it was a shock to see him with so many tubes attached to him. We had plans to go to a movie that weekend. The doctor told me Kevin was in critical condition and might not wake up. I felt like I was in a movie. I couldn't even cry. Despite my prayers, Kevin passed away at the hospital. My shock continued as my mother and sister-in-law arrived when they heard Kevin had died. My sister-in-law accused me harshly, asking if I had poisoned him or if I was after his life insurance. My mother-in-law also blamed me, saying bad things always happen around me and called me a jinx. I was too sad to respond. Then my own mother arrived in a caregiver's taxi, crying over Kevin's death, which finally made me cry too. We both sobbed loudly. My mother-in-law rudely told us to stop the fake crying. She said Kevin had changed because of me and that she didn't want to see us ever again. Then she left the hospital. A funeral director came to organize Kevin's funeral, and we went to the funeral home. Kevin had died from a brain hemorrhage, which was hard to believe since he was fine that morning. When I told my mother-in-law the funeral plans, she hardly said she wouldn't come because Kevin always sided with my mother and me. She said her daughter wouldn't come either. Many of Kevin's coworkers and friends came to the viewing, but neither my mother nor my sister-in-law and her husband were there. Many attended the funeral, and it was clear that Kevin was deeply loved. Many people cried for him. It was hard, but maybe this is just the kind of people his family were. I was happy to spend the whole day with those who truly missed my husband. After Kevin's death, I got an email from my mother-in-law, but it was inappropriate, so I didn't reply. She was asking about the life insurance money and kept emailing because I didn't respond. Eventually, she claimed she had a right to it. I chose to ignore it because I wasn't ready to deal with that. When we got home, I noticed a light on inside, which was odd. My mother, Sarah, was confused and thought we had turned off all the lights. I figured maybe I forgot because I was so upset. I told her it was understandable given the situation, and I unlocked the door. When we entered, we could hear the TV, which was very strange. Inside, we found my sister-in-law and her husband sitting there. I was so shocked I couldn't even speak up. The living room was full of unfamiliar furniture and boxes. We had no idea what was happening. My sister-in-law said, "Why did you just barge in here?" "Well, it's your first time, so I'll let it slide. We're taking this house. We sold your stuff, so leave." My mother and I were completely shocked. I asked where our furniture and belongings had gone, and she casually said a resale company came and took everything, claiming we had good furniture and they got a good price for it. They bought new furniture with that money, saying who wants furniture that a dead person used? It's bad luck. She added that she cared about such things, and our stuff was packed in boxes. She even remarked that we must be minimalists or just poor because we had so few things. The furniture was carefully chosen by my husband, and I couldn't forgive them for this. My mom was furious too, her face turning beet red, but she was too shocked to respond. I immediately called the resale company. After explaining the situation, they agreed to treat the items as stolen and return them. Now that my husband is gone, dealing with this was the last thing I needed. I don't want anything to do with his family, but I do want to stay in the house that's full of memories of him. While I was wrestling with these feelings, my mother quietly said to me, "What do you think Kevin would say if he were here now?" "He might say we should leave. I'm sure he would. Kevin often mentioned it's good to spend time with people who understand you. But there are some people who will never understand, no matter how much you try. It's a waste of time dealing with those people." He was actually talking about his own mother and sister. I realized that if we stayed, his family would keep interfering, acting on impulse. I signed a lease for an accessible apartment. My mom was surprised by how quickly I made that decision. I asked the resale company to hold on to the furniture for a few days, and it was moved to our new apartment. 3 days later, in exchange for moving out, I made my mother-in-law and sister-in-law promise to cut ties with us. So a new life began for just my mother and me in the apartment. It turns out Kevin had many life insurance policies, almost obsessively so. He used to joke, always with a smile, "When I die, you guys will be rich." True to his word, he left enough money for my mother and me to be comfortable for the rest of our lives. Since he couldn't secure a mortgage when we bought the house, I, being employed at a major corporation, bought the house in my name. I made sure that even if something happened to Kevin first, I wasn't going to keep paying a mortgage for a house I wouldn't live in. According to our agreement, the house would be auctioned off if the mortgage wasn't paid for 4 months. Time flew by, and 4 months passed quickly. Then I started receiving a lot of calls from my sister-in-law Emily and my mother-in-law Maria. My call history was filled with their names, and it was getting scary, like something out of a horror movie. They were incredibly persistent, so I finally answered the phone. They were furious because the house was being sold. Apparently, when they tried to return to the house, they found out they couldn't get in because of a seizure notice. Emily and her husband had moved out of their apartment since Kevin passed away, and Emily had also quit her job. I suggested they move back into their parents' house since they were panicking about suddenly being homeless. Surprisingly, Maria had gotten so caught up in gambling that she couldn't keep up and had sold her own house. It turns out they had been living together for the past 5 months. I also heard that they sold their main source of income, a parking lot in front of the train station, a long time ago. Now Maria and Emily's family are completely homeless. When Maria said, "I'm sorry for everything. Let's get along. Can you lend me some money, please?" I replied, "I think it's best if you stay away since I'm a jinx. We're strangers now that we've severed ties." Maria was quiet after mumbling weakly. In my mind, I was thinking, who's the real bad luck charm here? Then when I said I wouldn't lend them a single cent, Emily, who had been listening next to Maria, shouted, "You devil. Bring us the money right now. I am a devil and bad luck, so I'm going to hang up now." I replied and ended the call. In reality, I involved a lawyer for the past 5 months to push for the auction of the house. I thought it was an unusual case, but apparently, it's not that uncommon. The house was sold without any major issues, giving our family a moment of peace. We plan to find a new home with the money Kevin left us. Since it's just my mother and me, we don't need a big house. We'd rather prioritize security as 2 women living together. So I chose a condominium with minimal noise disturbance. I remember something my husband always said when we built our home. People can get energy from the sun, so let's create a place where the mother-in-law can enjoy her hobby of reading in the garden without feeling self-conscious. With those words, he had made a spacious courtyard for her. It's heartening to hear that you found a condominium with a spacious balcony where your mother-in-law can enjoy her coffee and reading. While the new place may be smaller than your previous home, it's comforting to know that you're able to keep some of the furniture your husband likely chose. The sale of the house, which was on the expansive land gifted by Kevin's grandfather, fetched more than expected, providing a solid financial foundation for your family's future. The decision to invest in a luxurious condominium with top-notch security features is a testament to your late husband's cautious nature, and it undoubtedly brings you a sense of peace in the wake of the tumultuous events involving your in-laws. Since Kevin's passing, life has taken a dramatic turn, and navigating the fallout from his family's actions has been emotionally draining. Following the auction of the house, Maria and Emily found themselves without a place to live and ended up in public housing. Despite their efforts to secure financial assistance, they've resorted to disruptive behaviors, such as hosting barbecues on their small balcony, which have left the community incredulous. These actions, coupled with frequent loud arguments, highlight their disregard for others' comfort and the challenges they face in adjusting to their new circumstances. With Emily's husband having left, she and Maria are now facing these challenges on their own. It's a difficult situation, but it's clear that you've made the right choice in prioritizing your own peace and security as you move forward with your mother in your new home. Your reflections are deeply poignant and resonate with a sense of closure and determination to move forward. The stark contrast between the peaceful sanctuary you've created with your mother and the turmoil your former family is experiencing serves as a powerful reminder of the consequences of one's actions. It's evident that you found solace in creating a tranquil haven where you and your mother can feel safe and secure, free from drama and disruptions. Despite the challenges you faced, you remain committed to honoring Kevin's memory by living a life filled with positivity and peace. Your decision to focus on living authentically and compassionately reflects a deep understanding of what truly matters in life. As you navigate this new chapter, guided by Kevin's spirit of kindness and resilience, you're determined to live in a way that would make him proud. Your journey of resilience, growth, and honoring Kevin's legacy serves as an inspiration to cherish the moments of silence, savor the memories, and embrace the beauty of living well. As you continue on this path, may you find comfort and strength in the love and laughter you shared with Kevin, and may your chosen sanctuary continue to be a source of peace and joy in your life.
The last person I expected to kick me out of my childhood home was my stepmother, but there she stood in her designer black dress, fresh from my father's funeral, telling me I had 20 minutes to leave. My name is Amara, and less than 3 hours ago I had watched my father's casket lower into the ground. Now I was staring at Rosalind's perfectly manicured finger pointing toward the door of what had been my home for 25 years. "This isn't right," I managed to say, my voice cracking. "Dad wouldn't—" "The will was very clear, dear?" Rosalind's smile didn't reach her eyes. "The house and all assets transfer to me. You received— well, nothing actually. Your father made his choices." My stepsister Destiny smirked from the doorway, phone in hand as always. "Better start packing, sis." I felt dizzy. This couldn't be happening. Dad and I had been close, closer than close. He'd raised me alone after Mum died until he married Rosalind when I was 12. Even then, we'd maintained our special bond, our Sunday morning chess games, our inside jokes, the way he'd leave me little notes with quotes from his favourite philosophers. "I want to see the will," I demanded, my hands shaking. "Already filed with the courts." Rosalind checked her watch. 19 minutes now. Tick-tock. I rushed upstairs to my room, tears blurring my vision. Most of my things were still there from before Dad got sick, when I'd moved back home to help care for him. Photos, books, memories, a life I couldn't pack in minutes. My stepbrother Dylan appeared in the doorway. "Need help?" "Don't pretend to care now," I snapped, grabbing my backpack. "You stood there silent through everything, through her keeping me from his hospital room, through her changing the locks while I was at the pharmacy getting his meds." Dylan looked away. "It's complicated." 15 minutes, Rosalind called up the stairs, her voice sickeningly sweet. I grabbed what I could, clothes, my laptop, the photo album Dad and I had put together on my 21st birthday. My hands were trembling so badly I could barely zip the bag. "Time's up," Destiny sang out. "Security's here." I turned to see 2 men in uniform at my door. Private security, not police. Of course, Rosalind would have arranged this. "Miss, we need you to leave the premises," the taller one said, not unkindly. "This is my home. I protested, but my voice sounded small even to me. They escorted me downstairs, past the familiar walls now feeling like a museum of betrayal. Rosalind stood by the front door, holding it open with exaggerated patience. "Don't forget to leave your house key," she said. "And don't come back. Any attempts to enter the property will be treated as trespassing." I dropped the key on the marble floor at her feet. "You won't get away with this." "I already have." She closed the door in my face. I stood there in the fading afternoon light, clutching my hastily packed bag and the photo album to my chest. My phone buzzed. Probably Stacy, my best friend, checking in after the funeral. I couldn't answer. Couldn't move. Finally, I walked to my car. The only thing I was sure was still mine. Inside, I let out a sob that had been building since the funeral. Since before the funeral, really. Since the night Dad died, and Rosalind had blocked my number. The photo album slipped from my lap, falling open. Something small and brass clattered onto the floor. A key? I picked it up, frowning. Tucked into the album's binding was a folded note in Dad's familiar handwriting. "My dearest Amara, if you're reading this, I fear the worst has happened. Behind the third panel of my study's bookshelf is a door. This key opens it. Trust no one until you've seen what's inside. I love you. Dad." I stared at the note, then at the key. Dad's study, his private sanctuary where he'd spent hours working, reading, thinking. The room Rosalind had declared off-limits the moment he died. My phone buzzed again. This time I answered. "Stacy, I need your help and... Do you still talk to Lucas? The one who became a detective? I need him too." I looked back at the house, at the study window where Dad used to wave to me when I came home from school. He'd known. Somehow he'd known this would happen. "Don't worry, Dad," I whispered, starting the car. "I'll make this right." The key felt warm in my palm, like an ember of hope in the darkness. Tomorrow I'd find out what was behind that panel, and Rosalind would learn that she'd picked the wrong daughter to betray. A real estate showing. Stacy's eyebrows shot up as she read the online listing on her phone. "She's already selling the house?" 9 a.m. tomorrow, I confirmed, pacing my tiny apartment. "Open house? That's our chance." Lucas leaned against my kitchen counter, still in his detective suit from work. "Let me get this straight. You want us to sneak into your father's study during a public showing to find a secret door? Not sneak. Walk in legally, like any other potential buyers." I held up the brass key. "Dad left this for a reason." "And you're sure this is the only way?" Lucas asked. "Rosalind's got security patrolling at night. During the showing, she'll be distracted with buyers. It's perfect," Stacy nodded. "I'm in. But what if she recognizes us? She's never met Lucas, and you've changed your hair since the last time she saw you." I gestured to Stacy's new platinum blonde bob. "Just don't make eye contact." The next morning, we parked a block away. My heart hammered as we approached the house. Cars lined the street. At least a dozen potential buyers had shown up. "Remember," Lucas whispered, "we're a young couple looking for our first home. Stacy's my sister helping us shop." Inside, the house smelled of vanilla candles, Rosalind's signature staging scent. She stood in the foyer, chatting with an older couple. Her eyes slid past us without recognition. "The study's this way," I murmured, leading them down the familiar hallway. We entered the book-lined room where I'd spent countless hours with Dad. Now it felt hollow, staged. The antique desk where he'd taught me chess was gone, replaced by some modern glass monstrosity. "Look natural," Lucas said, pretending to examine crown moulding while I moved to the bookshelf. My fingers found the edge of the third panel. It looked identical to the others, but when I pressed, I felt a slight give. "Someone's coming," Stacy warned. Destiny's voice carried from the hallway. "The study has original hardwood and great natural light." I slipped the key into the nearly invisible keyhole and turned it. Click. "Now what?" Stacy whispered. I pushed. The panel swung inward silently, revealing a dark space beyond. "Quick," Lucas urged, keeping watch. I slipped inside, pulling out my phone's flashlight. The hidden room was small, maybe 6 feet square. Metal filing cabinets lined one wall. A small safe sat on a shelf. "Oh my God," I breathed. "What is it?" Stacy poked her head in. "Dad's real office." "Look." I pointed my light at the walls. They were covered in papers, photos, and sticky notes, all connected with red string like something from a crime show. "Amara," Lucas hissed, "Hey, hurry." I grabbed what I could. A stack of papers, a USB drive, what looked like legal documents. In the safe, I found another key labelled Box 221, First National. Footsteps approached. I slipped out, easing the panel shut. It clicked just as Destiny entered with an elderly couple. "The built-ins are original to the house," she was saying. She faltered slightly, seeing us. "Oh, hello?" "Beautiful room," Lucas said smoothly, taking my hand. "Honey, what do you think about the light?" I forced a smile. "It's perfect." We made our way out, past Rosalind, who was now describing the kitchen's marble countertops to a crowd of buyers. My hand clutched the documents inside my jacket. In the car, I finally breathed. "I can't believe that worked." "What did you find?" Stacey asked. I pulled out the papers. On top was a document titled Last Will and Testament. "This is dated 3 months ago," I said, scanning it. "After the one Rosalind filed, and it's completely different." "How so?" Lucas asked. "It names me as sole executor. Says I inherit everything. The house, his investments, everything." My hands shook. "There's a note paper-clipped to it. Real copy with Edith." "Edith? Your dad's old attorney?" Stacey asked. I nodded. "She retired last year. Rosalind must not have known about her." "This could change everything," Lucas said. "But Amara, if Rosalind filed a different will, that's fraud. Serious fraud. Look at this." I held up the safety deposit box key. "Whatever's in that box, Dad wanted me to find it. He left a trail." "We should call Edith," Stacey said. "First thing tomorrow?" I stared at the key. "But tonight? I need to read everything we found. Dad was investigating something. Those strings on the wall, all those papers. He was building a case." "Against Rosalind?" Lucas asked. I thought of my stepmother's cold smile at the funeral. "We're going to find out. And when we do, she'll wish she'd never underestimated me." Edith's home office smelled like coffee and old books. She adjusted her reading glasses, examining the documents we'd recovered. "Your father came to see me 3 months before he died," she said. "He was worried about Rosalind's behaviour, especially after he discovered some concerning financial transactions." "What kind of transactions?" I asked. "Large sums being moved to offshore accounts." Edith pulled out a thick folder. "He asked me to keep copies of everything, including this." She handed me a notarized will, identical to the one we'd found in the hidden room. "This is the real will? The legal one?" "Yes, and I have video of your father signing it, with witnesses." Edith's eyes hardened. "What Rosalind filed is a fraud." My phone buzzed. A text from Stacey. "Turn on Channel 7 now." Edith grabbed her remote. The local news showed Rosalind outside an auction house, surrounded by reporters. "These are priceless family antiques," Rosalind was saying. "My late husband would have wanted them to find loving homes." "Stop the auction." Edith was already dialing. "Those pieces are listed in the real will. She has no right to sell them." Within an hour, Edith's legal team had served the auction house with an emergency injunction. I watched through social media as Rosalind received the news live, her perfect mask cracking for just a moment. "That's just the beginning," Edith said, hanging up. "We're filing to contest the fraudulent will tomorrow morning. But Amara, you should know. Your father left something else with me." She pulled out a sealed envelope. Inside was a USB drive and a letter. "My dearest daughter," I read aloud. "If you're reading this, then my suspicions about Rosalind were correct. The drive contains financial records, emails, and recordings of conversations that worried me. Be careful who you trust. She has powerful friends. Love, Dad." "We should get these to Lucas," I said. "Have the police." A knock at Edith's door made us both jump. Her secretary poked her head in. "Ms. Rosalind is here. She's demanding to speak with you." "Perfect timing." Edith smiled grimly. "Amara, use my back door. I'll handle her." I slipped out, but not before hearing Rosalind's shrill voice. "How dare you interfere with my auction?" Back home, I started going through the USB drive. Dad had been meticulous, documenting everything. Emails showed Rosalind discussing account transfers with someone named M. Bank statements revealed millions moving through shell companies. My phone rang. "Lucas, you need to see this," he said. "Those transfers? They line up exactly with your father's hospital stays. Every time he was admitted, money moved." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying someone might have been paying to keep him sick." Lucas paused. Or worse. A sharp knock at my door made me freeze. Then something slid underneath. A white envelope. "Hang on," I told Lucas, approaching cautiously. The hallway was empty. Inside the envelope was a single note, cut from magazine letters. "You don't know who you're messing with. Back off or else." "Lucas, can you come over? Bring your kit." He arrived 20 minutes later, dusting the note for prints. "Professional job," he said. "No prints, generic paper. But this tells us something important." "What?" "Rosalind's scared. You've got her running." My phone chimed with an email from Edith. "Hearing scheduled for Monday. Rosalind's lawyer requesting delay. Don't worry, Judge is an old friend. This is happening." I looked at the threatening note, then at Dad's letter. "She thinks she can scare me off. She doesn't understand. Dad left me everything I need to take her down." "Be careful," Lucas warned. "These types of cases can get ugly." "They already are." I opened Dad's financial records. "Help me go through these? There's something here about a company called Maritime Holdings." We worked late into the night, piecing together the puzzle Dad had left behind. Each discovery made my blood run colder. The money, the timing, the hidden accounts. Around midnight, my phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. "You're just like your father. Too stubborn to let things go. Remember what happened to him?" I showed Lucas. "That's it," he said, pulling out his phone. "I'm putting a patrol car outside your building tonight." "No," I said, saving another batch of incriminating files. "Let her think she's getting to me. The more desperate she gets, the more mistakes she'll make." I pinned the threatening note to my wall, right next to Dad's letter. "Monday can't come fast enough." "Look at this," Lucas said, pointing to his laptop screen. "The metadata on the will Rosalind filed? It shows editing timestamps from 2 days after your father died." We were in his office at the police station, surrounded by printouts and coffee cups. 3 days had passed since the threatening note. "She edited a PDF of Dad's will." I leaned closer. "Badly. She didn't know how to clear the digital trail." He clicked through several files. "The original document properties are still there." "Can we prove it's fraud?" "With this? Absolutely." He saved the evidence to a flash drive. "But there's more. Those bank transfers we found? They trace back to an account in the Cayman Islands, opened in your stepsister's name." My phone buzzed. A gallery invitation. "Speaking of destiny, what is it?" "She's having an art showing tonight. Her first solo exhibition." I made air quotes. "Funded by my father's money, no doubt." "Don't do anything rash," Lucas warned. "Me? Never." I grabbed my coat. "I just want to congratulate my dear stepsister on her success." The gallery was packed when I arrived. Destiny stood in the centre, wearing a dress that probably cost more than my car, champagne in hand. Her face fell when she saw me. "You're not welcome here." "Beautiful work," I said, gesturing to the nearest painting. "Amazing what you can accomplish with stolen money." "You don't know what you're talking about." But her hand shook, splashing champagne. "Maritime Holdings ring a bell? The Cayman account?" She grabbed my arm, pulling me toward a quiet corner. "Keep your voice down." "Why? Afraid your fancy art friends might learn where your startup capital came from?" "You think you're so smart." Her perfectly made-up face twisted. "You have no idea what we had to do, what we worked for?" "We." She caught herself taking a long drink. "Get out before I call security." "Don't worry, I'm leaving. But first," I pulled out my phone, showing her the metadata evidence. "Might want to warn Mom about her sloppy PDF editing." Her face went pale. "How did you—" "Dad taught me to always keep receipts." I turned to leave, then paused. "By the way, the gallery owner? Old family friend. Might want to start packing these up before the fraud investigation freezes your assets." Back in my car, I called Lucas. Destiny just confirmed it. They worked together to forge the will. "Good. We can add that to—" He stopped. "Hold on. Something just came through about your father's computer." "What about it?" "Tech team found deleted files. Lots of them. voice memos mainly. Can they recover them? Already did. I'm sending you one now. Amara, you need to hear this. I played the file. Dad's voice filled my car. October 15th. Confronted Rosalind about the missing funds. She denied everything, but I saw her later speaking with Marcus from the hospital board. Something's not right. If anything happens to me, the proof is in the study. Amara will know what to do. My hands gripped the steering wheel. When was this recorded? 3 days before his first cardiac episode, Lucas said quietly. She did something to him. She and this Marcus person. My voice cracked. We have to prove it. We will. But Amara, whoever Marcus is, he's got hospital connections. This goes deeper than just Rosalind. My phone chimed with another text from the unknown number. Last warning. Drop the case or join your father. I forwarded it to Lucas. They're getting desperate. Stay at my place tonight. We don't know what they're capable of. No. I started the car. I need to check one more thing at the house. The study? There might be more recordings. Don't go alone. I won't. Stacy's meeting me there. I pulled out into traffic. Besides, Rosalind's at some charity gala tonight. House will be empty. Be careful. And Amara, we're close. Don't let them spook you now. I hung up, Dad's voice memo still echoing in my head. He'd known. He'd tried to fight back, and they'd done something to silence him. Don't worry, Dad, I whispered, turning toward the house that was rightfully mine. I'm not backing down, not until they pay for everything they did to you. The brass key felt heavy in my pocket, a weight of responsibility, of justice waiting to be served. Whatever I found tonight, whatever threats they made, I was ready. The time for warnings was over. The hidden study felt colder this time. Stacy held her phone light steady while I connected Dad's old laptop to a power source. Are you sure about this? She whispered. The voice memo mentioned more proof. I typed in his password. It has to be here. The computer hummed to life. Dozens of audio files populated the screen, each dated and labelled. I clicked the most recent one. Final recording. Dad's voice filled the small space. If you're hearing this, Rosalind got to me first. I've suspected for months she's been working with Marcus from the hospital board. The medications they've prescribed, they're not helping. They're making things worse. Stacy grabbed my arm. Amara. I've gathered evidence, Dad continued. Bank statements showing payments to Marcus. Security footage from my office when they thought I was asleep. It's all here. And copies are with Edith. Rosalind doesn't just want my money. She wants everything I've built. And Marcus, he's helping her destroy it all. A noise downstairs made us freeze. Someone's here, Stacy mouthed. I quickly copied the files to my phone. Footsteps echoed in the hallway. The panel, I whispered. Quick! We slipped inside just as the study door opened. Through the tiny gap, I saw Rosalind enter with a man in an expensive suit. It has to be here somewhere, she was saying. That brat found something. She knows too much. The hearing's in 2 days, the man replied. Must be Marcus. If she has proof of the tampering, she doesn't. But her father... Rosalind ran her hands along the bookshelf. He was always too clever for his own good. My phone chose that moment to ding, the file transfer completing. Rosalind's head snapped toward the panel. Did you hear that? Marcus approached the bookshelf. This section looks different. I held my breath. Stacy's hand found mine in the darkness. It's just an old house, Rosalind said. The important thing is stopping that girl before Monday. The medication logs, the payment records. If those get out... They won't, Marcus assured her. I've already contacted someone to handle it. Like we handled her father? My blood ran cold. That was different, Marcus said. The sedatives were untraceable, a tragic cardiac event in a sick man. But Amara, she's young, healthy. It would raise questions. Then find another way. Rosalind's voice hardened. I didn't come this far to lose everything to Marvin's precious daughter. They left, closing the study door. We waited 5 minutes before daring to breathe. We need to call Lucas, Stacy whispered. Right now. My hands shook as I dialed. Lucas? They're planning something. I heard them. Rosalind and Marcus, they killed my father. Sedatives in his medication. Where are you? The study. We found recordings. Dad knew they were poisoning him. Stay there. I'm coming with a team. But as I hung up, another voice memo caught my eye. Dated the day before Dad died. My final message to Amara. I pressed play. Sweetheart, if you're listening to this, I'm so sorry. I tried to fight them, to expose what they were doing. The altered medications, the missing funds. It's all connected to Marcus's hospital board. Rosalind's been helping them embezzle for years. I have proof, but I'm getting weaker. Whatever they're giving me, it's working. Remember what I taught you about chess. Sometimes you have to sacrifice a piece to win the game. I'm your sacrifice play, darling. Use what I've left you. Make them pay. I love you. Tears streamed down my face. Stacy hugged me tight. We've got them, she said. We've got everything we need. My phone buzzed. Edith. Emergency meeting. Marcus just filed an injunction to stop Monday's hearing. Let him try, I texted back. I have the final proof. Dad left us everything. Sirens approached outside. Lucas and his team arriving. Ready? Stacy asked. I looked around the hidden room one last time, at the evidence Dad had gathered, the trap he'd set, knowing he might not survive to spring it. They killed my father, I said. Slowly poisoned him while pretending to care for him. Now it's my turn to show them what real care looks like. We emerged from behind the panel just as Lucas entered with uniformed officers. We got it all on recording, I told him. Their confession, everything. Good. He nodded to his team. Let's go pay Rosalind and Marcus a visit. The police station's interview room felt suffocating. I watched through the one-way glass as Lucas questioned Dylan, who kept fidgeting with his designer watch. Tell me again about the night your stepfather died, Lucas said. Dylan's voice cracked. I already told you. Tell me again. I was downstairs. Mom was upstairs with Marvin. I heard them arguing. About what? His medication. He was saying something wasn't right, that he felt worse. Dylan swallowed hard. Then I heard Mom on the phone with Marcus. What did she say? She said everything was going according to plan, that soon they wouldn't have to worry about Marvin interfering anymore. His hands shook. An hour later, Dad was dead. I pressed my palm against the glass. Next to me, Edith scribbled notes furiously. Why didn't you come forward before? Lucas asked. Mum said she'd cut me off. And Marcus, he knows things about what I did at the hospital. What things? I helped falsify some records, changed medication logs. I didn't know they were... I thought it was just insurance fraud. The door opened. Another detective entered with a file. The toxicology report you requested, she told Lucas. Second opinion from an independent lab. Lucas opened it, then slid it across to Dylan. Recognize these medications? Dylan's face went pale. That's not what they told me they were giving him. No, Lucas said. These are powerful sedatives, combined with his heart condition. Oh God. Dylan put his head in his hands. I helped them kill him. I turned away, unable to watch more. In the hallway, Stacy waited with coffee. How's it going? Dylan's talking. Apparently, he helped them cover it up. I took a shaky sip. Where's Rosalind? Still in custody. She's demanding her lawyer. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You'll regret this. Marcus, I said. He's still out there. Not for long. Lucas emerged from the interview room. Dylan gave us everything. The medication logs, the bank transfers, even recordings of conversations between Marcus and Rosalind. Where would Marcus go? We've got units at his house and the hospital. Lucas checked his phone. Border Patrol's been notified. He won't get far. Edith joined us, legal pad in hand. This changes everything for Monday's hearing. With Dylan's testimony and the new toxicology report, a commotion down the hall interrupted her. Destiny burst in, mascara streaking her face. You! She lunged at me. Officers held her back. You ruined everything. Your mother killed my father, I said calmly. She poisoned him slowly while you all watched. You don't understand. Marcus was going to make me head of hospital administration. We were going to be somebody. You already were somebody, I said. You were his family, and you helped murder him. She collapsed into sobs as officers led her away. My phone buzzed again, this time a news alert. My heart stopped. Marcus found dead in apparent suicide, I read aloud. Police discovered his body. Convenient, Lucas muttered. Too convenient, Edith agreed. Rosalind must have had a contingency plan. Another officer approached with an evidence bag. Found this in Marcus's office. Thought you should see it. Inside was a handwritten confession, detailing everything. The embezzlement scheme, the medication tampering, Rosalind's involvement. A perfect bow to wrap up the case. He didn't write this, I said. This is exactly what Rosalind wanted. A dead scapegoat who can't defend himself. Doesn't matter, Lucas said. We have Dylan's testimony, the recordings, the toxicology report. She's not getting away with this. My phone rang. The hospital board chairman. Amara, we've reviewed the evidence. The board is prepared to testify about Marcus's suspicious activities over the past year. We had no idea. Thank you, I said. That will help. I hung up and looked at the interview room where Dylan sat, broken and confessing, at destiny being led away in tears, at the evidence mounting against the woman who thought she could take everything from me. Monday's hearing, I said to Edith. Will you be ready? She smiled grimly. Oh yes. Your father left us everything we need. Rosalind thought she was so clever, but she never understood what she was up against. A father's love, Stacey said softly, and a daughter's determination. I touched the brass key in my pocket, the key that had unlocked not just a hidden room, but the whole twisted truth. Let's finish this, I said. For Dad. The courtroom fell silent as Rosalind took the stand. She'd traded her designer clothes for something more subdued, a navy suit that screamed, grieving widow. Her performance was starting. Mrs. Parker, her lawyer began, did you love your husband? With all my heart. Her voice quavered perfectly. Everything I did was for our family. Including forging his will? Edith stood. Including slowly poisoning him to death? Objection. Withdrawn. But Edith's point had landed. Rosalind's mask slipped for just a second. I'd like to present evidence, Edith continued, nodding to the bailiff. A screen lowered. This is security footage from Marvin's home office, dated 3 days before his death. The video played. Dad at his desk, looking frail. Rosalind entering with a glass of water and pills. Take these, darling. Doctor's orders. They make me feel strange. Dad's voice was weak. Worse than before. Trust me, Marcus knows what's best. The judge leaned forward. And these medications were? Sedatives, Edith said. Not the heart medication prescribed? The toxicology report confirms it. Rosalind's lawyer jumped up. This proves nothing. My client was following doctor's orders. Really? Edith pressed play on an audio file. Rosalind's voice filled the courtroom. Everything's going according to plan. Soon we won't have to worry about Marvin interfering anymore. Rosalind's composure cracked. That's taken out of context. Then let's add context. Edith gestured to the bailiff. The court calls Dylan Phillips. My stepbrother walked in, shoulders hunched. He wouldn't meet his mother's eyes. Tell us what you witnessed the night Marvin died. Dylan's testimony was devastating. The medication swaps, the conversations with Marcus, the systematic destruction of my father's health. And the will? Edith prompted. Mum edited it after he died. I watched her do it. The original... He glanced at me. The original left everything to Amara. Rosalind stood up. He's lying. Dylan, how dare you? Sit down, Mrs. Parker, the judge ordered. The court has heard testimony from the hospital board, Edith continued. About millions in embezzled funds, about Marcus's suspicious death, about your involvement in both. You can't prove, but we can. I handed Edith the final piece, Dad's last recording. His voice echoed through the courtroom. Rosalind and Marcus are poisoning me. The evidence is all here. The altered medications, the missing funds. Rosalind lunged toward the speaker. Turn it off! Restrain the defendant, the judge ordered. 2 officers moved forward. Rosalind's perfect mask shattered completely. He was ruining everything, she screamed. All our plans, our future. Marcus promised me the hospital board position. We would have been unstoppable. The courtroom erupted. The judge banged his gavel. Remove Mrs. Parker, and given her outburst, I'm ordering her held without bail. As they led her away, She locked eyes with me. "You're just like him, always thinking you're so clever." "No," I said clearly. "I'm worse, because I finished what he started." The judge's ruling was swift. The fraudulent will was invalidated. Dad's real will, the one leaving everything to me, was reinstated. Criminal charges would follow. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. How does it feel to expose the truth? What happens to the hospital board now? Any comment on Marcus's suspicious death? Edith shepherded me through them. My client has no comment except this. Justice was served today. A daughter's inheritance was restored. A father's murder was avenged. Lucas waited by his car. Need a ride? Actually, I looked at the house keys in my hand. My house keys now. I need to go home. Want company? I shook my head. This part I need to do alone. The house was quiet when I entered. Moving companies had already cleared out Rosalind's things. In Dad's study, the hidden panel stood open. I walked inside one last time. The evidence wall was empty now, everything catalogued into police evidence. But Dad's presence remained. My phone buzzed. A text from Dylan. "I'm sorry for everything. I know it doesn't help, but I needed you to know." I didn't respond. Some betrayals run too deep for forgiveness. Instead, I sat at Dad's desk, my desk now, and opened his journal to the last page. His final written words stared back at me. "Remember, my darling girl, the truth always rises, like cream, like justice, like love." "We did it, Dad," I whispered. "We brought them all down." The brass key sat heavy in my palm, a reminder of where this all began, of what justice costs, of what love can accomplish. It was time to close the hidden door, but its secrets had already done their work. The moving truck pulled away, leaving me alone in the driveway. Inside, the house echoed with emptiness, all of Rosalind's staged furniture gone, waiting for me to make it home again. My phone buzzed, a news alert. Hospital board members indicted in embezzlement scheme. Another text followed from Lucas. Rosalind's plea deal fell through. DA's pushing for maximum sentence. Good, I typed back. Any word on Marcus's death? Security footage shows Rosalind's lawyer entering his house that night. Investigation ongoing. I walked through the rooms, touching familiar walls. In the kitchen, Dad's old coffee mug still sat in the cupboard. In his study, the hidden panel was sealed. Its work done. The doorbell rang. Dylan stood outside, hands in his pockets. "Can we talk?" I left the security chain on. "About what?" "I'm selling my shares in the hospital, donating the money to patient advocacy groups." He swallowed hard. "It won't bring him back, but—" "No," I said, "it won't. There's something else. A safety deposit box in Mum's name. I found the key when they cleaned out her office." He held out a small envelope. "I think you should have what's inside." I took it without thanks. He turned to leave, then stopped. "You know what the worst part is? Dad, Marvin, he tried to help me get clean last year, paid for rehab, said I could be better than what Mum wanted for me." His voice cracked. "And I repaid him by watching him die. Goodbye, Dylan." Inside, I opened the envelope. A key and an address. First National Bank. Stacy drove me there. The box contained stacks of cash, offshore account numbers, and a USB drive labelled Insurance. "What's on it?" Stacy asked. "Everything." I plugged it into my laptop. Every conversation, every transaction, every player in their scheme, Mum's ultimate backup plan. Why would she keep evidence against herself? Leverage, in case anyone tried to betray her. I smiled grimly. Now it's evidence for the prosecution? My phone rang. Edith. "The hospital board wants to make amends," she said. "They're establishing a patient safety foundation in your father's name. Tell them to focus on medication oversight. Make sure this never happens again." That evening, I sat in Dad's study, surrounded by boxes of his books. A notebook fell open, his handwriting jumping out. "The greatest revenge isn't destruction. It's building something better from the ashes." The hidden panel caught my eye. One last time I opened it. The room was empty now, its secrets exposed. But on the back wall, Dad had written something I hadn't noticed before. For Amara. "Remember that justice without mercy makes us like those we fight against. Your strength is in your compassion, not your anger." My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Visiting hours are Tuesday and Thursday. Dylan. I thought about Rosalind sitting in her cell, about Dylan trying to make amends, about Dad's words on the wall. I dialed Edith. "The foundation," I said. "I want to run it. Make sure it actually helps people." "Are you sure? After everything? Dad always said the best way to fight darkness was to create light." I could hear her smile. "He'd be proud of you." Later I stood in the garden where Dad used to read. The roses he planted were blooming, life continuing despite everything. Stacey joined me, holding 2 glasses of wine. "To justice," she said. "To building something better." My phone chimed. A message from Lucas. "DA approved your request to speak at the sentencing." I looked at the house. My house now. At the study window where Dad used to wave. At the garden he loved. "You know what Dad would say right now?" I asked Stacey. "What?" "The best revenge is living well." I smiled. "And making sure others get to live well too." I pulled out the brass key one last time. The key that started everything. Tomorrow I'd seal the panel forever. Its work was done. But tonight I'd sit in Dad's garden, drink wine with my best friend, and plan a foundation that would save lives. Because that's what Dad would have wanted. Not just revenge, but redemption. Not just justice, but healing. I looked up at the stars, the same ones Dad and I used to watch together. "We did it, Dad," I whispered. "And now we'll do even more." The roses nodded in the evening breeze, their perfume sweet with promise. Sometimes the best endings aren't endings at all, but new beginnings. I was ready for mine.
I stared at my father across the Thanksgiving table as he slurred the words that would finally break me. "I'm in trouble with some very serious people." The silence that followed felt like a noose tightening around my neck, especially when my mother's eyes locked onto mine with that familiar expectant look. "My name is Amelia, and I'm the idiot who secretly bought my family a house. They don't know that, of course. They think some mysterious landlord lets them live there practically rent-free out of the goodness of their heart. Meanwhile, I live in what they lovingly call the shoebox with plumbing, my modest studio apartment that they'd just spent the better part of dinner mocking. It's like living in a closet," my sister Lindsay had giggled earlier, wine glass in hand. "I don't know how you do it, Amelia. Don't you want, actual rooms?" I'd smiled tightly and cut another piece of turkey. "Some of us prefer living within our means." "Within your means?" My father, Geoffrey, had scoffed already 3 glasses deep. "You make decent money in that marketing job. You could afford better than this shoebox," my mother Sandra had finished for him, patting his hand. "We just worry about you, sweetheart. Living like this isn't healthy." The irony of their concern was almost funny. Almost. They had no idea that every month I paid the property tax on their 4-bedroom house, that last summer's roof repair came from my savings, that the mysterious landlord who never raised their rent was actually their eldest daughter, living in a studio apartment so they could maintain their comfortable lifestyle. But now, watching my father's hands shake as he admitted to his latest gambling disaster, I felt something inside me crack. "How much?" I asked flatly. 18,000, he mumbled, not meeting my eyes. My mother jumped in smoothly. "We've been thinking about this as a family. Lindsay's still paying off her student loans. And your father and I are..." She gestured vaguely. "Well, you know our situation." "And I don't have kids or a mortgage, right?" I finished for her, the familiar script playing out. "So naturally I should be the one to fix this." "Your car," Lindsay suggested brightly, as if she'd just solved everyone's problems. "That hybrid thing you drive must be worth at least 20 grand. You could sell it and take the bus to work." I looked around the table, at my father's guilty but expectant face, my mother's manipulative concern, my sister's casual entitlement, and suddenly saw the last 15 years with perfect clarity. The inheritance from my grandmother that I'd used to buy this house, thinking it would finally make them proud. The countless times I'd covered their emergencies while they criticised my lifestyle. the way they'd trained me to be their safety net while treating me like their family failure. "No," I said quietly. "What was that?" my mother asked, her voice sharpening. "I said no." I stood up, gathering my purse. "I'm not selling my car to cover another gambling debt. I'm not doing this anymore." My father's face darkened. "After everything we've done for you." "Everything you've done for me?" I laughed, and the sound was ugly even to my own ears. "That's rich, Dad, really rich." "If you walk out that door," my mother warned, "don't expect to be welcome back." I paused at the threshold of my shoebox apartment and looked back at them. "Funny thing about doors, Mum, sometimes they close for good reasons." In my car, my precious debt-free car, I sat in the parking lot and let the tears come. Then I pulled out my phone and called the one person who'd been telling me for years to stand up to them. "Parker, it's me. Remember how you said you'd help me if I ever wanted to explore my rights as a landlord?" "Wait," Parker's voice crackled through the speaker. "You own the house they live in your name?" I wiped my eyes and sat up straighter. "Yeah, and I think it's time they learned what real estate karma feels like." As I hung up, my phone buzzed with a text from Lindsay. "Hope you're not serious about abandoning the family in our time of need. Dad's really upset." I turned off my phone and started the car. For the first time in 15 years, I felt something other than obligation when I thought about my family. I felt rage, and maybe, just maybe, that rage would finally set me free. 3 days after Thanksgiving, my mother and sister ambushed me at my favourite coffee shop. I spotted them through the window and considered running, but they'd already seen me. Besides, I was tired of running. "We need to talk about Dad's situation," Lindsay announced, sliding into the seat across from me without waiting for an invitation. My mother settled beside her, arranging her face into that concerned expression I knew too well. "There's nothing to talk about," I said, closing my laptop. "I'm not selling my car." "Don't be selfish, Amelia," my mother leaned forward. "These aren't nice people your father owes money to. They've already started calling the house. Then maybe he shouldn't have borrowed from them." Lindsay's eyes narrowed. "Easy for you to say. You don't have any real responsibilities. No kids, no mortgage. Stop saying that." I slammed my hand on the table, making several nearby customers jump. "Having children or a mortgage doesn't make your needs more important than mine. I work hard for what I have." "And we don't?" My mother's voice took on that wounded tone that used to guilt me into submission. "Your father and I have sacrificed everything for this family. The least you could do is help in a crisis." I laughed bitterly. "A crisis? This is Tuesday. Dad's always in crisis. Remember my college fund? The one he gambled away because we were having hard times? Funny how those hard times didn't stop you from taking that cruise the next summer." "That was different," my mother waved dismissively. "We needed that vacation. The stress was affecting your father's health." "The stress was—" I stopped myself, taking a deep breath. "You know what? I'm done. I'm not your ATM anymore." "Fine," Lindsay spat. "Be that way, but don't come crying to us when you're old and alone in that pathetic little apartment." Something snapped inside me. At least my pathetic little apartment is mine, unlike that house you live in. "What's that supposed to mean?" my mother asked sharply. I stood up, gathering my things. "It means I'm done pretending, done enabling, done watching you destroy yourselves and blame everyone else." "We're your family," my mother called after me as I walked away. "Family helps family." I spun around. Family doesn't mock family. Family doesn't guilt and manipulate and steal from family. And family definitely doesn't show up at someone's workplace to pressure them into selling their only reliable asset. The coffee shop had gone quiet. I didn't care. If you want to help Dad so badly, sell your own cars. Sell that boat he bought last summer when he was supposedly broke. Sell the house. I caught myself just in time. "Oh, wait, you can't sell the house because you don't own it." I left them sitting there, faces flushed with anger and embarrassment. My hands were shaking as I got into my car, my precious hybrid that they wanted to sacrifice to the gambling gods. Parker's law office was only 10 minutes away. I didn't call ahead, I just showed up, probably looking like a mess. "I need those landlord papers we talked about," I said when his secretary let me into his office. "All of them." Parker looked up from his desk, concern evident on his face. "Are you sure about this? Once you start the process..." "They showed up at my coffee shop today," I cut him off. "Tried to guilt me into selling my car for Dad's gambling debts. Again, 18,000, right?" He whistled low. "That's a lot of money to throw away." "It's not just about the money anymore." I sank into the chair across from him. "It's about the constant demands, the emotional manipulation, the way they treat me like their personal bailout fund while mocking everything I do." "And you're ready to tell them you own the house?" I nodded slowly. "More than ready. I'm tired of being their secret safety net. Let's see how they handle knowing the truth." Parker pulled out a thick folder. "I'll need you to sign these. And, Amelia?" He waited until I looked up. "This won't be pretty. They're going to fight back hard." "I know." I picked up the pen. "But for once, I'm going to fight back harder." As I signed the papers that would start the eviction process, my phone buzzed with a text from Lindsay. It was a photo of a car dealership with the caption, "Hope you're seriously thinking about doing the right thing." I showed it to Parker. "The right thing," I said quietly, "is exactly what I'm doing." He nodded and started making copies of the signed documents. "Sometimes the right thing feels wrong at first, but that doesn't make it any less right." I watched the papers slide through the copier, each one bringing me closer to freedom. Or maybe just a different kind of cage. Either way, there was no turning back now. The house looked different in the moonlight. Standing in the street at midnight, I remembered the day I'd bought it. How proud I'd been, how certain this grand gesture would finally make them see me as worthy. I'd been 25, flush with inheritance money from my grandmother, and desperate for approval. "You could get a much nicer place in the suburbs," the realtor had said. But I'd known my family would never leave their neighbourhood, their friends, their familiar haunts. So I'd settled for this older 4-bedroom colonial, thinking they'd at least appreciate the gesture. They hadn't, of course. "It's kind of small," my mother had said when the mysterious landlord offered it to them, "and that wallpaper is hideous." Now, 5 years later, I used my key to let myself in. The house was silent. They were all at my aunt's place for the weekend. I needed to document the property's condition before serving the eviction notice. The moment I stepped inside, the smell hit me, cigarettes and mould. My father had promised to quit smoking indoors. Another lie. I turned on my phone's flashlight and started in the living room. The hardwood floors I'd had refinished were scratched and stained. Cigarette burns dotted the windowsills. In the kitchen, cabinet doors hung loose on their hinges, and the granite countertop had a long crack running through it. "Jesus!" I whispered, taking photos. "What have they done to this place?" My phone buzzed. A text from Parker. "Don't forget to document everything, every scratch, every stain. We'll need it." I moved upstairs, each step creaking under my weight. The bathroom was worse than I'd imagined. Black mould crept along the shower walls, and the toilet seemed to be leaking. I'd sent money for repairs last year when my mother complained about plumbing issues. Clearly those funds had gone elsewhere. In my old bedroom, now Lindsay's makeup studio, empty wine bottles littered the floor. The closet door was punched through, probably from one of my father's rages. I remembered those rages from childhood, how he'd put his fist through walls instead of people and call it self-control. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Lindsay. "Hope you're seriously thinking about doing the right thing." I took a deep breath and typed back, "I am, just not the way you think." Back downstairs, I found myself in front of the dining room wall where we used to mark our heights as kids. The marks were still there, hidden behind a cheap painting. I traced my final measurement, 17 years old, The summer before Dad gambled away my college fund. "You'll understand when you're older," my mother had said then. "Family comes first." A car door slammed outside. Headlights swept across the windows. They were home early. I ducked into the kitchen just as the front door opened. My father's voice carried through the house. "I'm telling you, Sandra, we'll figure something out. Amelia will come around. She always does." "She seemed different this time," my mother replied. "More resistant." "Then we'll try harder," Lindsay chimed in. "Make her feel guilty. You know how she gets about family loyalty." I pressed myself against the wall, heart pounding. They moved into the living room, unaware of my presence. "Maybe we could sell some of her grandmother's jewellery," my mother suggested. "The pieces she left in her old room." My blood ran cold. Those pieces weren't left behind. They'd been stolen from my apartment during a wellness check last year when I hadn't answered my phone for 2 days. "Good idea," my father said. "She probably won't even notice they're gone, too busy working herself to death in that shoebox." I'd heard enough. Carefully, silently, I slipped out the back door. In my car, parked around the corner, I reviewed the photos I'd taken. Each one felt like another nail in the coffin of my family relationships. Parker answered on the first ring. "How bad is it?" "Worse than we thought. They're home now, planning to sell my grandmother's jewellery to cover the debt. Jewellery they stole from me." "That's theft," he said firmly. "We can add it to the complaint. They were just talking about how to manipulate me, using family loyalty against me. Again. Are you having second thoughts?" I looked at the house. My house, with its sagging gutters and cigarette-stained curtains. "No, no more second thoughts. No more chances. Send the eviction notice." "It goes out tomorrow morning," Parker said. "Are you ready for their reaction?" "No," I admitted, "but I'm even less ready for another decade of this." As if on cue, my phone lit up with another text from Lindsay. This time it was a photo of a car dealership's website with a trade-in value calculator prominently displayed. I turned off my phone, started my car, and drove away from the house I'd bought with such hope 5 years ago. Tomorrow, everything would change. Tomorrow, they'd learn what it meant to take advantage of the wrong person for too long. Tomorrow, they'd learn about karma. The first call came at 8:47 a.m. I watched my mother's name flash across my phone screen as I sat in Parker's office, waiting for confirmation that the eviction notice had been delivered. "They should have received it by now," Parker said, checking his computer. "Certified mail, signature required." My phone buzzed again. Lindsay this time, then my father, then my mother again. "You don't have to answer," Parker reminded me. The text started rolling in. "Mum, call me immediately. Lindsay. WTF is this? Is this some kind of joke? Dad, you ungrateful little..." Then came the voicemails. I put the first one on speaker. "Amelia, this is your mother. There's been some kind of mistake. We just received legal papers saying you're our landlord, that you own the house. Call me back right now." The second voicemail was less composed. "How dare you?" my father's voice boomed. "How dare you go behind our backs like this? After everything we've done for you, you think you can just throw your own family out on the street." "Notice how they're not denying they owe you money," Parker observed, taking notes, "or addressing the property damage." My phone lit up with a FaceTime request from Lindsay. Against my better judgment, I accepted. "Are you out of your mind?" Her face filled the screen, mascara already running. "You've owned the house this whole time, while we've been worried sick about you living in that dump?" "That dump is what allowed me to pay for your roof repairs," I replied calmly, "and your property taxes, and your utilities." "We're your family," she shrieked. "You don't evict family." "Family doesn't steal jewellery," I shot back, "or mock where I live while living rent-free in my house. That's different. We thought..." "You thought what? That some mysterious benefactor was just letting you live there out of kindness. that the repairs magically paid for themselves. Your sister's right, my mother's voice cut in as she grabbed the phone from Lindsay. This isn't how family treats family. What will people think? They'll think you raised a daughter smart enough to know when she's being used. My mother's face hardened. If you do this, there's no coming back. You'll never be welcome in this family again. Funny, I said, feeling strangely calm. That's exactly what you said at Thanksgiving and last Christmas. And every time I've said no to you for the past decade. You have until 5 o'clock to withdraw this notice, my father bellowed from somewhere off screen. Or I swear to God, I ended the call. Well, Parker said after a moment, that went about as expected. My phone kept buzzing with messages. I read them aloud. You'll regret this. Hope you can live with yourself. Nobody will ever love you after this. Wow, they're really hitting all the greatest hits. We should document these threats, Parker said, reaching for his legal pad, in case a loud bang interrupted him. Through his office window, I saw my father in the parking lot, getting out of his car. Stay here, Parker said, standing up. I'll handle this. But I was already moving toward the door. 5 years of secrets, a lifetime of manipulation. I was done hiding. My father's face was purple with rage as he stormed toward the building. You think you can hide behind lawyers? Your own father. Sir, Parker called out, this is private property. I'll have to ask you to leave. Stay out of this, my father roared. This is between me and my ungrateful daughter. No, I said, my voice steady despite my shaking hands. This is between a landlord and her tenants, who haven't paid rent in 5 years, who've destroyed property, who've stolen personal items. We gave you life, and I gave you a house. I gave you everything I had, over and over, and it was never enough. Security was approaching now. My father jabbed a finger at me. You think karma won't find you. You think you can do this to your own blood. Karma, I laughed. Karma is exactly what's happening right now. As security escorted him away, he screamed through the parking lot. You'll end up alone. You hear me? Alone. Back in Parker's office, I collapsed into a chair. My phone showed 37 missed calls and over 50 texts. We should file for a restraining order, Parker said quietly. I nodded, numb. Do it. Do whatever we need to do. Are you okay? I looked at my phone as another message from Lindsay popped up. Hope you're happy destroying this family. No, I said honestly, but I will be. Outside, I could still hear my father's car peeling out of the parking lot. The sound felt like punctuation on the end of a very long sentence. One I'd been reading my whole life without understanding until now. The letter arrived 3 days after the eviction notice, hand-delivered to my apartment's mailbox. The return address was from Valentina, my family's next-door neighbour for the past 20 years. I'd always liked her, even though my mother called her nosy. Dear Amelia, the letter began, I've held this secret for 5 years, watching you sacrifice everything for people who never deserved it. I was there the day you signed the papers for the house. I saw your smile, your hope, and I've seen everything since. My hands trembled as I read on. I have security cameras. They've captured years of incidents. Your father's rages, your mother's verbal abuse when you visit, your sister's endless parties that keep the neighbourhood awake. I've saved it all, thinking someday you might need proof. I called Parker immediately. An hour later, I sat in Valentina's immaculate living room, watching video clips on her tablet. The footage was clear, damning. There was my father punching the garage door after I'd refused to co-sign a loan last year. My mother standing in the driveway, screaming at me for missing a family dinner because of work. Lindsay sneaking my grandmother's jewellery box out of my apartment during that wellness check. I should have shown you sooner, Valentina said, pouring tea. But it wasn't my place. Why now? I asked. She set down her cup. Because yesterday I heard your father planning something. He was on the phone talking about teaching you a lesson, about making you understand the consequences of your actions. My stomach churned. Did he say what kind of consequences? No, but I've seen that look before. When he gambled away your college fund. The memory hit me like a slap. I'd been 17, heading to my dream school with a partial scholarship. Then suddenly the money was gone. Hard times, my mother had said, patting my hand. We'll figure something out. 2 months later, they'd gone on a cruise. To heal from the stress, they'd said. I had to get student loans, I said quietly. Work 2 jobs through college. They never apologized, never even admitted what happened. I remember, Valentina nodded. Just like I remember when you bought this house. You were so proud, thinking it would finally make them respect you. Instead, they complained about the wallpaper, while you lived in that tiny apartment, paying their bills. She touched my hand. You've always been the adult here, Amelia. It's time they dealt with reality. My phone buzzed. Another text from Lindsay. Mum's crying herself sick. Hope you're happy. I showed it to Valentina. Manipulation, she said firmly. Watch this. She pulled up footage from just an hour ago. My mother in her front yard, laughing with neighbours. No tears in sight. They're planning something, Valentina warned. Your father's been making calls all morning. Your mother's been visiting neighbours, telling them you're mentally unstable. Classic, I muttered. When guilt doesn't work, they try to discredit me. I have something else you should see. She pulled up a final video. It showed my father and mother in their driveway late last night, arguing. We'll sue her, my father was saying. Claim elder abuse. She manipulated us, took advantage. No judge will side with a daughter who throws her parents out. My mother nodded. And once we win, we'll sell the house ourselves. That'll teach her about family loyalty. I felt sick. They're going to sue me. They can try, Valentina said, ejecting a USB drive from her tablet. But with this evidence, they won't get far. She handed me the drive. 5 years of proof. Every incident, every threat, every lie. Use it. My phone rang. Parker. Your family just filed a legal complaint, he said without preamble. They're claiming elder abuse and fraud. They want the house. I looked at the USB drive in my hand. Perfect timing. I have something you need to see. After I hung up, Valentina squeezed my shoulder. You're doing the right thing. Sometimes the hardest choices are the most necessary ones. Through her window, I could see my mother in their driveway, probably planning her next move. She looked up, caught my eye, and gave me that familiar disappointed headshake. For the first time, it didn't make me feel guilty. It made me angry. Thank you, I told Valentina, for seeing what I couldn't, for keeping these records. Sometimes, she said, walking me to the door, we need someone else to validate what we already know in our hearts. As I left clutching the USB drive, my phone lit up with a final text from my father. You've started a war you can't win. I smiled grimly. He had no idea what kind of ammunition I was holding. For once, I wasn't walking into battle unarmed. For once, I had proof. And proof, unlike family loyalty, doesn't lie. The courthouse hallway felt colder than it should have in June. I sat on a hard wooden bench, watching my family huddle with their lawyer at the other end of the corridor. They'd dressed for sympathy. My father in an ill-fitting suit that made him look older, my mother in conservative pastels, Lindsay in a demure dress I'd never seen before. Ready? Parker asked, appearing with his laptop and a stack of files. They're going to lie, I said. They're really good at it. That's why we have evidence. He patted the files. Truth doesn't need rehearsal. The judge was a stern-faced woman in her 60s who didn't smile when we entered. My family's lawyer went first, painting a tragic picture of manipulative daughter taking advantage of trusting parents. Miss Amelia, their lawyer said, purchased this house secretly, Your Honour, then used it to control her vulnerable family members. I watched my mother dab at dry eyes with a tissue. And now, he continued, She's attempting to render her own parents homeless out of spite. Parker stood. Your Honor, we have documentation proving my client has paid every expense for this property for 5 years, while the defendants lived there virtually free. He started playing Valentina's videos. My father's face turned purple as his recorded voice filled the courtroom. Once we win, we'll sell the house ourselves. Objection, their lawyer called. These recordings were made without consent. In public spaces, Parker countered, by a neighbour concerned about criminal activity. The judge let the videos continue. With each clip, my family's carefully constructed narrative crumbled. The facade of vulnerable parents gave way to scenes of manipulation and threats. Then came the financial records, bank statements showing Miss Amelia paid $23,000 in property taxes, Parker listed, roof repairs totaling $15,000, utility payments averaging $400 monthly. Meanwhile, the defendants... My mother interrupted, standing suddenly. We're her parents. Everything she has because of us. Mrs. Francis, the judge warned, please sit down. You don't understand, my mother continued, her voice rising. She owes us, after everything we've sacrificed. Like my college fund. I spoke up for the first time. The one Dad gambled away? The judge leaned forward. Is this true? It was a difficult time, my father muttered. Yet you took a cruise that summer, Parker said, producing more records. Charged to my client's first credit card, which you opened in her name when she was 18. Lindsay jumped up next. This isn't fair. She's twisting everything. She's always been jealous of me, always trying to make our parents look bad. Your Honor, Parker interrupted smoothly, we have evidence of Ms. Lindsay stealing valuable jewellery from my client during a fraudulent wellness check. The security footage played. Lindsay, clearly visible, pocketing my grandmother's jewellery box while my mother kept watch. That's not... I was just borrowing, Lindsay stammered. Enough, the judge cut in. She looked at my family with undisguised disgust. I've seen more than sufficient evidence of manipulation, theft, and attempted fraud. The eviction stands. You can't do this, my father shouted. She's our daughter. Being a parent doesn't grant you ownership of your child, the judge replied coldly. The defendants have 30 days to vacate the property or begin paying market rate rent immediately. Outside the courtroom, my mother grabbed my arm. You've destroyed this family, she hissed. I hope you're happy. I gently removed her hand. No, Mom. You destroyed this family, one manipulation at a time. Where are we supposed to go? Lindsay demanded, mascara running. Maybe sell that boat Dad bought last summer, I suggested. Or the jewellery you stole from me. I'm sure that'll cover a security deposit somewhere. My father stepped forward, his face dark with rage. This isn't over. Actually it is, Parker intervened. Any further harassment will result in additional legal action. I suggest you use your energy to find new housing instead. We watched them storm off, my mother already on her phone, probably calling relatives to spread her version of events. 30 days, I whispered. They might try to drag it out, Parker warned. Damage the property more. They can't hurt me anymore, I realised. Not really. My phone buzzed. A text from Valentina. Saw them leave the courthouse. How did it go? I typed back. We won. Thank you for everything. Justice doesn't always feel good, Parker said gently, but that doesn't make it wrong. I looked at the courthouse steps where my family had stood moments ago, already planning their next move, their next manipulation, their next attempt to make me the villain in their story. But for the first time in my life, their story didn't matter. I had my own story now, backed by evidence, validated by law, and in 30 days, I'd have my house back too. Sometimes winning feels like losing, but maybe that's how you know you're finally breaking free. Moving day arrived with the subtlety of a hurricane. I stood in the driveway watching the movers load what remained of my family's belongings into their trucks. They'd waited until the last possible hour of the last possible day, hoping I'd break. I hadn't. "This is everything you're taking," one of the movers asked my father, gesturing at the pile of furniture on the lawn. "The rest stays," he growled, glaring at me. "It belongs to the house." "Actually," I said quietly, "the furniture was purchased with my money too. But keep what you want. I'm having it all replaced anyway." My mother emerged from the house, clutching her purse like a shield. "I suppose you're happy now," she said, her voice trembling, "watching your family become homeless." "You're not homeless, Mum. Aunt Susan offered you her guest house months ago. That's not the point." "Then what is the point?" I asked, genuinely curious. "That I should keep supporting your lifestyle while you mock mine? Keep paying your bills while you steal from me?" Lindsay stormed out next, mascara already running. "I can't believe you're really going through with this. What kind of person throws their own family out? The kind who's finally tired of being used." "Used?" My father stepped forward. "We gave you everything." "No," I corrected him. "Grandmother gave me everything, and I used it to buy this house thinking it would make you proud. Instead, you treated it like you've treated me my whole life. Something to use up and throw away." The locksmith arrived then, right on schedule. He nodded to me and headed for the front door. "What's he doing?" my mother demanded. "Changing the locks. Standard procedure for an eviction. You can't—" "I can. I am. It's done." My father moved toward me, fists clenched. "You little—" "Dad," I cut him off, holding up my phone. "Valentina's cameras are still running. Think carefully about your next move." He stopped, face purple with rage. Behind him, the movers continued loading boxes, pretending not to notice the family drama unfolding. "Where did we go wrong with you?" my mother whispered. "How did you become so cold?" "I learned from the best," I replied. "Remember when Dad gambled away my college fund? You told me to understand, to forgive, to put family first. Well, I'm finally putting family first, just not the way you taught me." The locksmith emerged. "All done, Mum. Here are your new keys." I took them, feeling their weight in my palm. 5 years of secrets, of silent sacrifice, of hoping they'd somehow change, all ending with these small pieces of metal. "This is your last chance," Lindsay said, trying for threatening, but landing on desperate. Once you leave, I can finally start healing." I turned to the movers. "How much longer?" 20 minutes, tops." My mother started crying then, real tears this time. Not the performative ones from court, but genuine sobs that shook her shoulders. For a moment, I felt that old, familiar pull, the need to comfort her, to fix everything. But I stayed where I was. "You'll end up alone," she choked out. "No one will ever love you after this." "That's better than being used by people who claim to love me." My father grabbed the last of their bags. "Come on," he muttered to my mother and sister. "She's made her choice." "No," I corrected him. "You made this choice. Every time you took advantage. Every time you mocked where I lived while living in my house. Every time you chose gambling over family. This isn't my choice. It's your consequence." They piled into their cars, my father in his, my mother and Lindsay in hers. The movers finished loading the truck. The house stood empty behind me, waiting. Lindsay rolled down her window. "I hope you can live with yourself." "I finally can," I replied. "That's the whole point." I watched them drive away, my mother's car first, then my father's, then the moving truck. The street felt eerily quiet in their wake. I turned to face the house, my house, and felt something rise in my chest. Not quite happiness, not quite sadness, something in between. My phone buzzed. A text from Parker. "All done?" "Yes," I typed back. "They're gone." "How do you feel?" I looked at the empty driveway where my family's cars had sat for 5 years, at the lawn they'd never mowed, at the gutters they'd let clog, at all the small signs of neglect that mirrored how they'd treated my love for them. I feel... I paused, searching for the right word. Free. As I walked up to my front door with my new keys, I wasn't shaking from fear anymore. I was shaking from adrenaline, from possibility, from the sudden, startling realization that sometimes the hardest goodbyes are the ones that save us. The sound of a drill echoed through the empty house as I installed new curtain rods in the living room. Sunlight streamed through the windows, highlighting patches of fresh paint and new hardwood flooring. The house smelled different now, like lemon cleaner and possibility. A knock at the door made me pause. Through the window I saw Valentina holding a teapot. "Thought you might need a break," she called out. I let her in, and we settled on the floor since I hadn't bought furniture yet. She poured tea into paper cups while examining my renovation progress. "The place looks brighter already," she said. "Amazing what a little love can do." "And a lot of contractors," I added, gesturing to the fresh drywall where my father's fist holes used to be. "Have you heard from them?" I nodded. "Mom's been calling relatives, telling them I'm having a mental breakdown. Dad's apparently telling everyone I forged the deed. Lindsay just posts passive-aggressive quotes on social media about toxic people who pretend to be victims." "And how are you really?" I considered the question while sipping my tea. "Lighter, like I've set down something heavy I didn't even know I was carrying." My phone buzzed, another blocked number. I'd been getting lots of those lately. "Still not answering unknown calls? Parker says not to. We have the restraining order, but..." I shrugged. "Better safe than sorry." Valentina nodded toward the window. "They drove by again this morning, your mother and sister, just watching the house." "I know, but they can't hurt me anymore." I stood up, walking to the wall where our height measurements used to be. "See this? I'm painting over it today. New memories, new start." "Speaking of new starts," Valentina pulled an envelope from her purse. "I have something for you." Inside was a photo. Me at 17 standing in front of this very house the day my grandmother died. I was smiling, unaware that my college fund would disappear the next week. "I found it while organising old albums," Valentina said. "Look how hopeful you were. That hope wasn't wrong, Amelia. It was just aimed at the wrong people." My phone buzzed again. This time a text from Parker. "Judge denied their appeal. It's really over." I showed Valentina the message. "Good," she said firmly. "Now you can focus on healing." "Everyone keeps asking if I'm okay," I admitted, like they expect me to break down or regret everything. "And do you regret it?" I looked around the room, at the fresh paint covering years of cigarette stains, at the clean floors replacing their neglect, at the sunshine streaming through windows they'd always kept curtained. "No," I said finally. "I regret not doing it sooner." Valentina squeezed my hand. "That's not regret, dear. That's wisdom." Another knock at the door made us both turn. Through the window I saw a delivery truck. "Perfect timing," I said, getting up. "My new couch is here." As the deliveryman brought in the furniture, I caught a glimpse of my mother's car driving slowly past. Our eyes met through the window. She raised her hand, not waving, more like reaching. For a moment I felt that old familiar pull. Then I turned away and helped the deliveryman position my new couch. My choice, my style, my life. "Where do you want these throw pillows?" one asked. "Actually," I smiled, "I think they'll look better in my apartment." Valentina raised an eyebrow. "I'm keeping this house," I explained, "but I'm not moving in. I'm going to rent it out to people who will actually appreciate it, who will pay their rent and respect the property." "And your apartment?" "Turns out I like my shoebox with plumbing. It's mine. Every square foot of it is something I chose for myself." The deliveryman left and Valentina helped me arrange the pillows on the couch. Through the window I could see my mother's car was gone. "You know what the strangest part is?" I said, stepping back to admire our work. "Everyone talks about karma like it's this big, dramatic thing, but sometimes it's just this, just quietly choosing yourself, setting boundaries, walking away. That's the best kind of karma, Valentina replied, the kind you create for yourself. My phone buzzed one last time. Lindsay, I hope you're happy in your empty house. I looked around at the fresh paint, the new furniture, the sunlight streaming in, at all the space that was finally truly mine, not empty, just clean, ready for whatever came next. I am, I whispered, and deleted her number. Outside, the afternoon sun painted the walls gold. The drill lay forgotten by the window, the curtain rod half installed. But that was okay. I had time now. Time to build something new. Something that wasn't weighted down by guilt or obligation or misplaced loyalty. Something that was finally and completely mine.
The call came at 2:17 a.m. I remember staring at my phone's display, watching my mother's name flash across the screen, my stomach already nodding. Nothing good ever came from middle-of-the-night calls. My name is Vivian, and that call changed everything. He's hurt, Mom's voice cracked through the speaker. Jackson's hurt bad. The car... Oh God, Vivian, the car is totaled. I was already pulling on jeans, wedging the phone between my ear and shoulder. Which hospital? Mercy General. Please hurry, and bring your insurance information. The car? It was in your name, wasn't it? Of course, that's what she focused on. The SUV I'd bought them last Christmas. A family gift, they'd called it, though Jackson had been the one pushing hardest for it. I'd spent months saving up for the down payment, wanting to do something nice for once. I'm on my way, I said, hanging up before she could spiral into more questions about paperwork. The hospital parking lot was a maze of fluorescent lights and empty spaces. My heels clicked against the concrete as I power walked to the emergency entrance, where I found my mother pacing in circles, her mascara creating dark rivers down her cheeks. Where is he? I asked. She grabbed my arm, her fingers digging in. Treatment room 3. Your father's with him. But Vivian... Her voice dropped to a whisper. There was someone else. The other driver. It's bad. My blood ran cold. How bad? They won't tell us anything. But there was so much blood. She dabbed at her eyes with a crumpled tissue. The police are here too. They want to talk to Jackson when he's stable. I pushed through the double doors, my mother trailing behind me. Dad stood outside treatment room 3, his face ashen, holding a styrofoam coffee cup that trembled in his grip. He's awake, Dad said gruffly. Couple broken ribs, concussion. Could have been worse. Through the window, I could see Jackson on the bed, his face scratched up but recognizable. He was arguing with a nurse about something, his hands gesturing wildly. Typical Jackson, even flat on his back, he was trying to control the room. A police officer approached us, notebook in hand. Family of Jackson Barnes? Yes, my mother jumped in. I'm his mother. Is this about the other driver? Mr. Garcia is in critical condition, the officer said flatly, and we have reason to believe alcohol was involved in the collision. My father's coffee cup crumpled in his fist. That's ridiculous. My son wouldn't. His preliminary blood alcohol level was 0.14, the officer cut in. More than twice the legal limit. We'll need to discuss the charges once he's medically cleared. Charges. The word hung in the air like smoke. My mother started crying again, and my father's face went from ashen to red. Vivian, my mother grabbed my arm again. You'll help, won't you? The car's in your name. Your insurance will cover this. And we'll need a good lawyer. I stared at her, reality crashing down like waves. Mom, if he was drunk... He's your brother, she hissed. Family protects family. You have that good job, that fancy title. You can afford this. Before I could respond, a doctor emerged from another treatment room, his scrubs spattered with blood. Family of Emmett Garcia? An elderly couple rushed forward, the other driver's parents, I assumed. The doctor's voice was low, but words filtered through. Severe internal bleeding, spinal concerns, medically induced coma. My mother's grip tightened. Don't you dare say a word to anyone about the car being yours. We'll handle this as a family. I looked through the window at Jackson again. He was now scrolling through his phone, looking annoyed at the IV in his arm. No remorse. No concern for the man he might have killed. The officer approached again. Ms. Barnes, we'll need to discuss the vehicle registration and insurance details. My mother stepped between us. My daughter bought us that car as a gift. But she wasn't there. She doesn't know anything. She turned to me, eyes hard despite the tears. Right, Vivienne? I opened my mouth, but my father appeared at my other side. This is your mess to clean up, he said quietly. You bought the car. You're responsible. Standing there, trapped between them, watching Jackson scroll through social media, while somewhere in this same hospital, a stranger fought for his life because of him. Something inside me snapped. I looked at my mother, then my father, seeing them clearly for the first time. You're right, I said slowly. I am responsible, and I know exactly what I need to do. I spent the next morning in a daze, mechanically answering emails from my kitchen table, while my phone buzzed with endless family messages. Around noon, my doorbell rang. It was Allison, my best friend since college, carrying 2 cups of coffee and wearing her "I'm worried about you" face. Your mom called me, she said, setting the coffee down. 3 times. I rubbed my temples. Let me guess. She wanted you to talk some sense into me about the insurance? Actually, she wanted me to remind you about all the times Jackson was there for you. Her words. Allison's voice dripped with sarcasm. I told her I had to go into a tunnel. He was there for me? I laughed bitterly, opening my laptop. Let me show you something. I pulled up my banking history. Last year alone, $6,000 for his emergency car repairs. $4,000 when he got fired from that startup. $2,000 for that coding boot camp he quit after 2 weeks. Don't forget your parents' mortgage payment, Allison added quietly. Right, because Dad's contracting work hit a slow patch. Again. I slammed the laptop shut. You know what the worst part is? Jackson didn't even have permission to drive that car. Allison's eyebrows shot up. What? The SUV was technically a family gift, but the agreement was clear. Jackson wasn't supposed to drive it. Not after his DUI last year. The one they kept quiet about? The one they made me pay the lawyer for? I took a sip of coffee. But apparently he's been joyriding in it for months. Look at this. I opened Instagram, scrolling to a post from 3 weeks ago. Jackson posed in front of my SUV, keys dangling from his fingers. The caption read, "Borrowed the family ride. Time to show this baby what she can do." My phone buzzed again. Dad. Hello? Your mother's a wreck, he said without preamble. She hasn't stopped crying since you left the hospital. Is she crying about Emmett Garcia? I asked. The man Jackson nearly killed? Don't be dramatic. These things happen. What matters is how we handle it as a family. You mean how I handle it with my checkbook? Don't get smart with me, he snapped. We don't betray family. Remember when you were 17 and wrapped my truck around that tree? Who covered for you then? That never happened, I said slowly. That was Jackson. He blamed it on me, and you all believed him without even asking. Silence on the line. Dad? Well, what's done is done, he muttered. The point is, family stands together. Jackson made a mistake. A mistake? My voice rose. He drove drunk and put someone in a coma. Lower your voice, he hissed. The neighbors will hear. God forbid the neighbors hear the truth, I said, and hung up. Allison watched me carefully. You okay? No. I opened my email. But I'm done being their ATM. A new message popped up from Jackson's girlfriend, Joanna. Subject line, Need to talk. I didn't know, her message read. About the car, about any of it. Jackson told me it was his. I have pictures, timestamps, everything, if you need them. Allison read over my shoulder. Well, well. Looks like little brother's house of cards is starting to fall. My phone buzzed again. Mom this time, but through text. How dare you hang up on your father? After everything we've done for you. Remember who paid for your prom dress? Your first car? Your braces? I started typing, you mean the prom dress you returned to buy Jackson's gaming console? The car you sold to pay his gambling debts? The braces I'm still paying off because you borrowed my dental fund for his spring break trip? But I didn't send it. Instead, I opened a new document and started making a list. What are you doing? Allison asked. Documenting everything. The car title's in my name. The insurance is in my name. Jackson took the car without permission, with a history of DUI, and my parents enabled it. I looked up at her. You're the lawyer. What does that mean legally? A slow smile spread across Allison's face. It means, my friend, that you're not their safety net anymore. You're their worst nightmare. My phone buzzed one more time. A text from Jackson. Hey sis, when you get a sec, can you call the insurance company? Mom's freaking out about the paperwork. Also, gonna need some cash for a new phone. Mine got smashed in the crash. Love you. I showed it to Allison, who read it and shook her head. He really doesn't get it, does he? No, I said, saving the text as evidence. But he's about to. Allison's law office smelled like leather and coffee. She spread documents across her desk while I watched, each paper another nail in my family's coffin. Vehicle registration, insurance policy, text messages showing unauthorized use. She ticked off each item. And now Joanna's evidence. Vivian, you're not just protected, you have a nuclear option. My phone lit up. Mom again. Sweetheart, please. The hospital bills just came in. They're asking about insurance. We need you. I switched it to silent and turned back to Allison. What about Emmett? Any updates? She pulled up a news article. Still in a coma, but there's something else you should see. The article included a photo of Emmett, not from the crash, but from before. He sat at a piano, surrounded by young students, his face bright with enthusiasm. The caption read, Local music teacher's future uncertain after devastating crash. He taught piano to underprivileged kids, Allison said softly. Pro bono work, mostly. The doctors. They're saying even if he recovers, he might never play again. The nerve damage. My stomach lurched. I remembered Jackson's text about his broken phone, how casually he'd asked for money. Like breaking a man's life was just another oopsie for Big Sister to fix. A knock at the door interrupted us. Allison's assistant poked her head in. Sorry to interrupt, but there's a Mrs. Barnes insisting on coming up. I stood. My mother's here? In the lobby. Should I? No, I said. I'll go down. Mom paced the lobby, clutching her designer purse, the one I'd bought her last birthday. When she saw me, her face crumpled into practiced tears. Why aren't you answering your phone? I've been trying to reach you all day. I'm busy, Mom. Too busy for family? She stepped closer, lowering her voice. The police are talking about criminal charges. Criminal? My baby boy could go to prison. Your baby boy nearly killed someone. It was an accident. Driving drunk isn't an accident. It's a choice. She grabbed my arm. How can you be so cold? This is your brother we're talking about. And what about Emmett? I pulled up the article on my phone, thrust it in her face. What about his students? His family? She barely glanced at it. We'll make it right. That's why we need your help with the insurance. No. The word hung between us. Mom's face went still. What did you say? I said no. I'm not covering this up. I'm not paying for it. I'm done. Done? Her voice rose. Done with what? Your family? The people who raised you? The people who raised me to be their personal bank account? How dare you? She was crying again. But these tears were angry. After everything we've sacrificed. What exactly did you sacrifice, Mom? Name one thing you gave up for me that didn't eventually go to Jackson. You're being ridiculous. You're just jealous because what? Because Jackson's the favorite? Because he gets unlimited chances while I get unlimited bills? You're evil, she whispered. Evil and ungrateful. Your own brother could go to jail, and you're worried about money? No, I said quietly. I'm worried about justice. Her hand flew up. To slap me or grab me. I'm not sure. I caught her wrist before she could do either. Don't, I said. She yanked her hand away, face twisting. You'll regret this. When Jackson's in prison, when our family is destroyed, you'll regret choosing strangers over blood. Blood, I laughed. Blood doesn't excuse what he did. What you're all trying to do. Fine. She straightened, wiping her eyes. Fine. But don't come crying to us when you're all alone. Don't expect forgiveness when you realize what you've thrown away. I watched her storm out, designer purse swinging. My hands were shaking, but my voice was steady when I called up to Allison's office. Still there? Heard the whole thing, she said. You okay? No. I took a deep breath. But I will be. Listen, I need you to do something for me. Name it. Contact Emmett's lawyer. Tell them. I closed my eyes, saw his smiling face in that photo, surrounded by students who might never hear him play again. Tell them I want to help. Not with money, with evidence. You sure about this? Once we start, I'm sure. I opened my eyes, watched my mother's figure disappear into a taxi. It's time they learned what real consequences feel like. 3 days after my confrontation with Mom, Dad showed up at my office. My assistant tried to stop him, but he bulldozed past her, face flushed with what I assumed was a combination of anger and his usual afternoon drinks. We need to talk, he announced, closing my office door. I didn't look up from my computer. I'm working. Your brother's facing 10 years. He slumped into the chair across from my desk. 10 years, Vivian. Does that mean nothing to you? Now I looked up. It means he did something worth 10 years in prison. For God's sake, he's 27. His whole life will be ruined. What about Emmett's life? I turned my monitor around, showing him the latest update from the hospital. Permanent nerve damage in both hands. Career destroyed. But I guess that doesn't matter to you. Dad's face darkened. You've always been like this. Cold. Calculating. Even as a kid, I was cleaning up Jackson's messes. I pulled out my phone, scrolled to a photo. Remember this? The image showed Dad's prized motorcycle, crumpled against our old garage door. Jackson was 16. That's ancient history, Dad muttered. You made me give up my college fund to fix it. Said it was my fault for distracting him while he was showing off. I had to take out extra student loans because of that. Loans I just finished paying off last year. We were protecting him. No, you were enabling him. And now a man might never play piano again because of it. Dad leaned forward, his voice dropping to a harsh whisper. You think you're so perfect? You think you never needed protecting? What about that time in high school when you— When I what? I interrupted. Got drunk and totaled your truck? Oh, wait. That was Jackson, too. He just blamed me. And you believed him without question. You're twisting things. Am I? I pulled up Jackson's Instagram. Look at this. Posted the night of the crash. The video showed Jackson, clearly drunk, jangling my car keys. Borrowed Sis's sweet ride. Time to show these losers how to party. Dad's face went pale. Delete that. Can't. It's evidence now. Evidence? His voice rose. You're collecting evidence against your own brother? No, I'm collecting truth. There's a difference. My phone buzzed. A text from Jackson. Hey sis, saw Dad heading to your office. Don't listen to his guilt trip BS. I know you'll handle this like always. You're the best. I showed Dad the text. See? He's not even worried. He thinks I'll handle this like always. Fix it. Pay for it. Cover it up. Because that's what family does. No, I said quietly. That's what enablers do. Dad stood up so fast his chair toppled backward. You coward. You ungrateful little... Security will escort you out if necessary. He stared at me, and for a moment I saw something crack in his expression. Fear, maybe? Or the first real understanding that he couldn't control this situation. You'll regret this, he said, but his voice shook. When he's in prison, when our family is destroyed, save it. Mom already gave me that speech. After he left, I sat there shaking until my phone buzzed again. A message from Joanna. Jackson's telling everyone you promised to fix everything, but I found something else. He took videos that night, bragging about taking the car. I saved them before he deleted them. Want them? I typed back. Yes. And Joanna? Thank you. Another buzz. Jackson again. Yo, sis, the lawyer you're paying for kinda sucks. Can we get a better one? Money's no object since you're covering it, right? I stared at his message, remembering all the times he'd sent similar texts. Money for rent. Money for bills. Money for mistakes. Always with that same entitled confidence that I'd handle it. My phone rang. Allison. The prosecutor wants to meet, she said without preamble. They're interested in your evidence about the pattern of behavior. And Vivian? Emmett's awake. My heart stopped. How is he? Can't feel his fingers. Doctor says he might regain some function with therapy, but... She paused. He asked about you. Asked why you're helping his case. What did you tell him? The truth. That you're choosing right over easy. Speaking of which, Jackson just posted another story. You should see this. I opened Instagram. There was my brother, looking annoyed but unworried, captioned, Haters trying to bring me down, but family's got my back. Ride or die, right sis? I took a screenshot, added it to my evidence folder, and typed back 3 words that would change everything. Not this time. The coffee shop was nearly empty when Joanna slid into the booth across from me. She looked tired, her usually perfect makeup smudged at the corners. I brought everything, she said, pulling out her phone. But Jackson doesn't know I'm here. If he finds out... He won't, I assured her. Not from me, she nodded, then started scrolling through her gallery. These are from the night of the crash. He was at Murphy's bar first. The videos played one after another. Jackson, progressively drunker, bragging about borrowing my car. Jackson, keys in hand, laughing about how he'd liberated the SUV from our parents' garage. Jackson slurring his words. Big sis won't mind. She never does. There's more, Joanna said quietly. From other nights. He did this a lot. How long? I asked. How long has he been taking the car? Months. Since January, at least. Your parents knew. They'd laugh about it, say you'd never notice because you were too busy with work. My hands clenched around my coffee cup. Did they know he was driving drunk? Joanna's eyes filled with tears. Everyone knew. It was like a joke to them. Jackson's joyrides, they called it. I tried to stop him once, but he just laughed and said his sister would fix any problems, and now someone might never play piano again. I know. She wiped her eyes. That's why I'm here. I love Jackson. Part of me still does. But this is wrong. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Your father's drinking again. This is your fault. If you'd just helped your brother... I switched my phone to silent and turned back to Joanna. What else do you have? She pulled up more photos, more videos. Jackson bragging about near misses with other cars. Jackson racing down residential streets. Jackson and my parents, laughing about borrowing the SUV while I was at work. The timestamp on this one, I pointed. It's from the afternoon before the crash. Joanna nodded. He was already drinking then. Your mom even offered to make him coffee to sober up before he drove home. But he went back out later. To prove he could. Someone at the bar said he shouldn't drive, and you know how he gets when people tell him no. I did know. I'd been cleaning up after those moments my entire life. My phone lit up again. Jackson this time. Hey sis, heard you met with the prosecutor? What's up with that? Mom's freaking out. Call me. Joanna saw the message. He still doesn't get it, does he? No, I said. He doesn't. She hesitated, then pulled up one last video. This is from right before the crash. I didn't want to watch it again, but you should see it. The video played. Jackson, barely able to stand, waving my car keys. Gonna show these losers how to really drive, he slurred. Don't worry. If anything happens, my sister's loaded. She'll fix it like always. In the background, I could hear my mother laughing. My father's voice. That's my boy. 10 minutes later, Emmett Garcia's life changed forever. I'm so sorry, Joanna whispered. I should have stopped him. Should have called someone. You're stopping him now, I said. That counts for something. My phone buzzed again. Allison. Prosecutor wants to meet tomorrow. Bring everything you have. I looked at Joanna. The prosecutor will want to talk to you. She straightened her shoulders. I know. I'm ready. Jackson won't forgive you. Maybe not. But I won't forgive myself if I stay quiet. As if on cue, both our phones lit up. Jackson had posted a new Instagram story. Family means loyalty. Blood over everything. Some people gonna learn that the hard way. Joanna's hands shook as she showed me her screen. He's been posting threats like this all week. Mostly about you. I know. I pulled up my own collection of screenshots. And I'm saving everyone. What happens now? Now? I gathered my evidence. The videos, the photos, the texts spanning months of deliberate recklessness. Now we tell the truth. All of it. They'll hate us, Joanna said softly. They already hate anyone who doesn't enable them. I stood up, gathering my things. But maybe that's not such a bad club to be in. As we left the coffee shop, my phone lit up one last time. A message from Emmett's lawyer. Your brother's looking at serious time. Your parents could face charges for enabling. Last chance to back out. I typed back 2 words. Keep going. The prosecutor's office was colder than I expected. Detective Rivera spread the evidence across her desk, while the prosecutor, Ms. Hayes, reviewed my statement. This is comprehensive, Hayes said, looking up. You documented everything. I'm a project manager, I replied. Documentation is what I do. Rivera pointed to a series of texts. Your parents were aware of his drunk driving? They enabled it, joked about it. Here. I pulled up a video from Joanna. This is from 2 weeks before the crash. The video played, my parents laughing as Jackson grabbed my car keys, clearly intoxicated. Mom's voice calling out, "Drive safe, sweetie," followed by more laughter. Hayes made notes. And the vehicle ownership? Registered to me. Insurance in my name. They weren't supposed to let him drive it. That was our agreement when I bought it. Because of his previous DUI. Previous DUI? Rivera leaned forward. We don't have that on record. You wouldn't. They paid off the officer. I have the bank transfers to prove it. A knock at the door interrupted us. Another detective entered, looking grim. Emmett Garcia's doctor just called. The nerve damage is permanent. He'll never regain full use of his hands. The room went quiet. I thought about Emmett's students, the lives he'd touched through music. All ended because my brother couldn't call a cab. Ms. Barnes, Hayes said carefully, you understand what this means? With your evidence, we're not just looking at charges against your brother. Your parents could face accessory charges. I understand. They're your family, Rivera said softly. Are you sure? The door burst open. My father stumbled in, reeking of alcohol, my mother right behind him. There you are, Mom shrieked. How dare you? How dare you do this to us? Security moved to intercept them, but Hayes held up a hand. Let them speak. Dad lurched forward. We raised you, put food in your mouth, clothes on your back, and this is how you repay us? By telling the truth? I stood up. Yes, that's exactly how I'm repaying you. Truth? Mom laughed hysterically. The truth is, you're jealous of your brother. Always have been. You're trying to destroy him because he destroyed someone else's life? I nodded to Hayes. Show them. Hayes played the video from the night of the crash. They watched, faces draining of color, as their own voices encouraged their drunk son to drive. That's not, Dad stammered. Not what? Not what it looks like? That's the problem, Dad. It's exactly what it looks like. Mom started crying, her signature move. He's your brother, your own flesh and blood. And what about Emmett? I pulled up his photo. He has family too. People who love him, students who needed him. But you don't care about destroying their lives, do you? We thought you'd protect us, Dad whispered. You always protected us. Not anymore. Hayes cleared her throat. Mr. and Mrs. Barnes, I'm charging your son with felony DUI causing serious bodily injury. And based on this evidence, you're both being charged as accessories. You can't, Mom lunged at me, but security caught her. You evil, ungrateful. Take them out, Hayes ordered. As they were led away, my father turned back. We're your parents, he said, voice breaking. Your family. No, I met his eyes. You're enablers who happened to raise me. There's a difference. After they were gone, Hayes gathered the evidence. The DA will want to move quickly. Are you prepared for what comes next? I thought about Emmett, about Joanna, about years of cleaning up messes that were never mine. Yes, I said. I'm ready. My phone buzzed. Jackson had posted again. Family betrayal hits different. Watch your back, sis. I handed the phone to Rivera. Add that to the evidence. He's been making threats all week. We'll handle it, she assured me. You did the right thing. Outside the prosecutor's office, I found Allison waiting. Your mom called me again, she said, screaming about betrayal and family loyalty. What did you tell her? That loyalty goes both ways, and that some families don't deserve it. My phone lit up with another message, this one from Emmett's lawyer. He wants to meet you, says he has questions only you can answer. I looked at Allison. Will you come with me? She squeezed my hand. Every step of the way. Behind us, I could hear my mother's sobs echoing down the hallway, my father's angry protests. But for the first time in my life, their voices didn't have any power over me. I was free. The courthouse steps were crowded with reporters when Jackson's sentencing date arrived. I stood at the back, watching my brother being led in wearing an orange jumpsuit, his usual swagger replaced by shuffling steps. My parents huddled together nearby, both looking decades older than they had just months ago. Dad had lost his city contracts after the story broke. Mom's church friends had quietly distanced themselves. Their carefully constructed image of the perfect family had shattered. Joanna appeared beside me, clutching a folder. The prosecutor wants me to testify about the videos. Are you ready? She nodded. Jackson's lawyer tried to convince me not to. Offered money. Let me guess. Money that would supposedly come from me? He still thinks you'll swoop in at the last minute. Save him like always. Inside the courtroom, I saw Emmett for the first time since the crash. He sat in the front row, his once nimble hands resting uselessly in his lap. His mother helped him adjust his position, and the simple gesture made my throat tight. The judge entered, and the proceedings began. The prosecutor presented the evidence, my videos, Joanna's testimony, the documentation of years of enabled behavior. Jackson's lawyer tried to paint it as a one-time mistake, but the evidence was overwhelming. Then Emmett took the stand. "I taught piano for 15 years, he said quietly. Not just lessons. I helped kids find their voice, their confidence. Music was my language." He held up his damaged hands. "Now I can barely hold a cup of coffee." Jackson wouldn't meet his eyes. My parents stared at the floor. "The defendant's sister provided crucial evidence," the prosecutor said. "Would you like to address her?" Emmett turned to me. "Thank you," he said simply, "for choosing truth over comfort." My mother made a small, wounded sound. Then it was Jackson's turn. He'd traded his usual t-shirt and jeans for a suit that looked borrowed. His voice shook. "I'm sorry," he said, but he was looking at our parents, not at Emmett. "I never meant for this to happen. I always thought—" "That your sister would fix it?" the prosecutor interrupted. "Like she fixed everything else?" Jackson's face crumpled. For the first time, he looked his age. Not the eternal teenager our parents had protected, but a grown man facing consequences. The judge's voice cut through the tension. 10 years. No possibility of early parole. My mother started sobbing. Dad looked like he'd been shot. Jackson turned to me, finally meeting my eyes, his expression a mix of betrayal and desperate plea. But I had no more fixes to offer. Outside reporters swarmed my parents. "How do you respond to charges of enabling your son's behavior? What about the evidence your daughter provided? Is your family divided forever?" Mom spotted me through the crowd. "You!" she screamed. "You did this! You destroyed our family!" "No, Mom." I stayed calm as cameras swung toward us. "You did that. Every time you chose enabling over accountability. Every time you made me clean up his messes instead of letting him face consequences. He's your brother," Dad shouted. "And Emmett was someone's son, someone's teacher, someone who didn't deserve to have his life destroyed because you couldn't say no to your precious boy." Security moved between us as Mom tried to reach me, her manicured nails clawing the air. "We'll never forgive you. Never." "I know," I said. "I forgive myself. That's enough." Later that evening, my phone filled with voicemails. Mom, alternating between threats and tearful pleas. Dad, drunk and rambling about family loyalty. Jackson from jail, begging me to appeal, to hire better lawyers, to fix it one last time. I deleted them all. Allison called as I was leaving the courthouse. "You okay?" "No," I admitted. "But I will be." Emmett's lawyer called. "They're filing a civil suit against your parents for enabling. They'll probably lose everything." I thought about my childhood home, filled with things I'd paid for. The car I'd bought them. The bills I'd covered. The life they'd built on my reluctant generosity. "They already lost everything," I said. "They just don't know it yet." A final text came through, from Joanna. "Jackson's asking me to convince you to help." I blocked his number. "Good for you," I replied. The sun was setting as I walked to my car. Behind me, the courthouse doors closed on my family's comfortable lies. Ahead lay uncertainty, probably more drama, definitely more pain. But also freedom, and that was worth everything. My phone buzzed one last time. Mom again. "Please, sweetheart. We can still be a family. Just help us fix this." I turned off my phone and drove home, leaving their problems exactly where they belonged, with them. The moving truck pulled away from my parents' house, carrying the last of their possessions. They'd lost the civil suit, lost their home, lost everything except what they could fit in their small rental apartment. I watched from my car across the street, not hiding, not approaching, just witnessing. My phone rang. Emmett's number. "The scholarship fund is ready," he said. "We've already received applications from 3 students who couldn't afford lessons. After the civil suit, I'd established a music scholarship in Emmett's name. Not out of guilt, but because something good should come from all this pain." "How are the new teaching methods working?" I asked. "Better than expected." Despite everything, his voice held hope. I can't play like before, but I can still teach theory, composition. The adaptive technology helps. It's different, but it's something. A tap on my car window startled me. Mom stood there, looking thin and tired, her designer clothes replaced by department store basics. I rolled down the window. I'm not giving you money. I know. She wrung her hands. I saw you sitting here. Saying goodbye to the house? Trying to understand. She looked at her feet. How did we get it so wrong, Vivienne? You really want to know? She nodded. Get in. She hesitated, then walked around and slid into the passenger seat. I put my phone on speaker. Emmett, my mother's here. Would you mind telling her about your students? He was quiet for a moment. The ones I can't teach anymore? Or the ones who lost their music scholarships when I couldn't work? Mom flinched. Both, I said. He told her. About Maria, who'd been preparing for Juilliard. About Tommy, whose single mom had scraped together lesson money for years. About dreams deferred, talent stunted, all because Jackson couldn't call a taxi. Mom started crying. Real tears this time, not her usual performance. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry. I know, Emmett said. But sorry doesn't give me back my hands. After we hung up, Mom stared at the house. Her house, once. Your father's drinking again, she said. Worse than before. He blames you. Of course he does. I did too for a while. But then I found this. She pulled out her phone, showed me an old photo. Remember? It was me at 16, holding a trophy from the science fair. In the background, Jackson was making faces, trying to ruin the photo. You worked so hard on that project, Mom said. But we left your ceremony early because Jackson had a baseball game. We always left early, didn't we? Always chose him. Yes. And now he calls from prison, still asking for money, still expecting us to fix everything. She put the phone away. We raised a monster, didn't we? You raised 2 children, I corrected. You just never noticed the one who didn't cause problems. Dad appeared on the front steps, swaying slightly. When he saw us, his face darkened. We should go, Mom said quickly. He's not good when he drinks now. When was he ever? She touched my arm, the first genuine gesture I could remember in years. I understand now why you did it. We deserve this. It was never about deserving. It was about consequences. Will you ever forgive us? I looked at her, this woman who'd shaped my life with her choices, her enabling, her selective blindness. I forgive you for what you did to me, I said finally, but I'm not the one who lost their hands. She nodded, stepped out of the car. Dad was shouting something now, stumbling down the steps. Mom, she turned back, get help, real help. Not for Jackson, not for Dad. For you. I will. She straightened her shoulders. Goodbye, Vivienne. I watched them leave. Mom walking ahead, Dad trailing behind, their shadows long in the setting sun. Then I called Joanna. Just left my parents' house, I said. The final move out. How do you feel? I thought about Emmett's scholarship fund, about Mom's moment of clarity, about the weight lifting from my shoulders. Free, I said. I feel free. Good. She paused. Jackson wrote again. Asked me to beg you for appeal money. What did you say? Nothing. Some bridges should stay burned. I started my car, took one last look at the house where I'd learned all the wrong lessons about love and loyalty. You know what, Joanna? Some bridges should never have been built in the first place. I drove away, leaving the past where it belonged, behind me, growing smaller in my rearview mirror with every mile. I didn't burn the bridge. I built the road out, and I never looked back.
I never meant to become my family's secret ATM, but that's exactly what happened, and now I'm sitting here staring at a foreclosure notice from 5 years ago, wondering if I've been the biggest fool alive. My name is Amber, and until today, I thought I was just being a good daughter. The responsible one, the frugal one, the boring one, according to my sister Jayla, who's currently holding court at her marble-countered kitchen island, waving her mimosa while describing her upcoming influencer trip to Bali. You should really come with us this time, Amber, Jayla says, her perfectly manicured nails tapping against her glass. I mean, when was the last time you took a real vacation? I take a sip of orange juice, plain because someone needs to drive Mom and Dad home, and force a smile. I'm good. Got some work projects coming up. Always working, Mom sighs, adjusting her new designer sunglasses. Honey, you're going to wake up one day and realize life passed you by. If they only knew. Every month for the past 5 years, I've been quietly transferring $2,400 to keep their house from being taken away. That's nearly $150,000 of my boring life choices. Speaking of passing by, Tanner chimes in, his arm draped around his girlfriend Julia. We're thinking about joining that Greece trip next month. The one you bailed on? Someone has to stay behind and clip coupons. Jayla snickers. Amber would probably rather buy bulk toilet paper than swim in Santorini. Everyone laughs. Even Dad, who should know better, joins in while helping himself to more of the expensive brunch spread that I'm sure Jayla charged to her already maxed out credit card. I just prefer being practical, I say, the words tasting bitter in my mouth. Speaking of which, Dad, did you need me to stop by later? You mentioned something about the house? He waves dismissively. No, all sorted. Just a minor repair thing. I notice Mom shooting him a quick look. After 5 years of watching their subtle signals, I've become fluent in their silent language of financial desperation. You sure? I don't mind. Oh, look at these photos from the spa day, Mom interrupts, pulling out her phone. Jayla treated me last weekend. Wasn't that sweet of her? Sweet. Right. The spa day that probably cost what I put into their mortgage account last week. The brunch drags on, a parade of humble brags and pointed jabs at my lifestyle. I sit through it all, mentally calculating how many overtime hours I've worked to keep their lights on while they plan their next luxury purchase. Later that evening, I drive them home. Mom's tipsy, going on about Jayla's natural gift for living life to the fullest. Dad's unusually quiet. I'll help you get her inside, I offer, pulling into their driveway. No need, Dad says quickly. You've done enough today. He has no idea how true that statement is. I should have left then. Should have driven straight home to my modest apartment with its sensible furniture and carefully budgeted life. Instead, I remember Dad mentioned needing his old drill, and I know exactly where it is. In his desk drawer in the garage. The garage is dim and cluttered when I enter. Dad's desk sits in the corner, a relic from his contractor days before everything fell apart. I pull open the drawer, and there it is, not the drill, but a stack of papers that makes my blood run cold. Foreclosure notices, bank warnings, final demands, all dated months before I started helping them. They knew. They'd known exactly how bad things were when they first started dropping hints about temporary financial help. My hands shake as I flip through the papers. They'd let me believe I was preventing a crisis, when in reality, I was cleaning up a mess they'd hidden from me. All while they watched me sacrifice, save, and strain, and mocked me for it. My phone buzzes. A text from Jayla. Thanks for coming to brunch, sis. BTW, Mom's treating us to a shopping spree tomorrow with her surprise bonus. Sure you don't want to join? Maybe we can find you something that isn't from the clearance rack. I stare at the message, then back at the papers in my hand. Mom's surprise bonus. My mortgage payment. Their jokes. My sacrifices. Something shifts inside me, like a gear finally clicking into place. I carefully return the papers to the drawer, close it softly, and walk out of the garage. For 5 years, I've been the family joke while being their financial savior. But as I drive home in my 6-year-old Honda, the one Tanner loves to call my starter car. I realize I'm not laughing anymore. And soon, neither will they. The bank statements spread across my dining room table tell a story, one that makes me sick to my stomach. 5 years of transactions, each one a reminder of how deeply I'd been played. Holy shit, Violet says, adjusting her glasses as she examines the papers. My best friend since law school has seen her share of financial disasters, but even she looks stunned. Amber, this is methodical exploitation. I point to a series of transfers. Look at these dates. Every time I increased the payment amount, they made a major purchase within weeks. New car for Tanner, Jayla's emergency spa weekend, Mom's kitchen renovation. They were counting on your payments, Violet says, her lawyer voice creeping in. Using them as guaranteed income while maintaining their lifestyle. Have you calculated the total? $144,800, I reply, the number burned into my brain, not counting the extra emergency amounts they'd ask for occasionally. My phone buzzes. Another text from Jayla. OMG sis, just landed my biggest influencer deal yet. Taking Mom to Aspen next month with her bonus. Don't worry, we'll send pics. I show Violet the message. Her expression darkens. Your mom's bonus is your money, isn't it? Has to be. She hasn't worked in 3 years. I sink into a chair. I feel so stupid. No, Violet says firmly. They're the stupid ones. They've left a paper trail a mile wide. What are you going to do? Before I can answer, my phone rings. It's Dad. Hey, sweetie, he says, his voice carrying that familiar note of forced casualness. Quick question. Remember that little extra help you've been giving us? Any chance we could bump it up a bit? Property taxes are due, and with Tanner's new business venture. My throat tightens. What business venture? Oh, he's got a great opportunity. Something with cryptocurrency. Just needs some startup capital. I think about the foreclosure notices, about Jayla's texts, about 5 years of jokes at my expense. Actually, Dad, I wanted to talk about the mortgage payments. Silence on the line. Then, now's not a good time, honey. Can we discuss this later? Your mother's calling me. The line goes dead. Coward, Violet mutters. I pull up my banking app and start doing calculations. I could have bought my own house by now. Instead, I've been paying for theirs while they treated you like their personal piggy bank. Violet finishes. She pulls out her laptop. Let's document everything. Bank statements, text messages, emails, anything showing the pattern. We spend hours building the file. Every transaction tells another part of the story. My deposit dates matching their extravagant purchases. Their carefully timed emergency requests coinciding with vacations and shopping sprees. My phone keeps lighting up with family messages. Mom, darling, have you seen Jayla's amazing news? She's doing so well. Wish you'd let yourself enjoy life a little more like her. Tanner. Hey sis, got a fantastic investment opportunity. Guaranteed returns. Need about $20,000 to get in on the ground floor. Let me know. Julia, Tanner's girlfriend. Girl, you should really join us for dinner soon. Tanner says you're amazing with financial advice. I silence the phone and look at Violet. They're never going to admit what they did, are they? People like this rarely do, she says, closing her laptop. But you have options. We can start with a formal demand letter. No, I interrupt, an idea forming. I want something more personal. What are you thinking? I pull up the family group chat where they're all gushing about Jayla's influencer deal and Mom's upcoming Aspen trip. They love an audience, I say, typing out a response. So I'll give them one. I'm going to suggest a family dinner to celebrate all our successes. Violet raises an eyebrow. You're going to confront them? Better. I hit send on my message. Let's do dinner at the house next Saturday, my treat. I have some exciting news to share. The responses flood in immediately. Mom, finally, Are you seeing someone? Jayla, OMG, did you actually buy something fun? Tanner, free dinner? I'm in. They think I'm going to announce some life change they can mock, I explained to Violet. Instead, I'm going to show them exactly who's been keeping their perfect little world afloat. And then I look at the stack of evidence we've compiled, and then I'm going to let it sink. Violet grabs her purse, heading for the door. She pauses, turning back. Just be prepared. When people like this get exposed, they don't get sorry. They get mean. I nod, already knowing what's coming. But for the first time in 5 years, I'm not afraid of their reaction. I'm counting on it. The week before the dinner, I decide to dig deeper into the house records. What I find makes my previous discoveries look like pocket change. You've got to be kidding me, I mutter, staring at the county records website. 3 equity loans taken out on the house since I started paying the mortgage, all under Tanner's name. My brother, the eternal entrepreneur, had been using the house as his personal credit line while I kept the lights on. My phone rings, Mom calling. I almost ignore it, but something makes me answer. Honey, about Saturday's dinner, she starts, her voice syrupy sweet. I was thinking maybe we should do it at that new bistro downtown instead. The house is a bit, well, you know how your father gets about cleaning. No, Mom, it needs to be at the house. I keep my voice steady. Trust me. Well, if you insist. Though I don't know why you're being so mysterious about this announcement. You're not pregnant, are you? Because honestly, darling, in your situation, my situation, you know what I mean. Single, focused on work. We worry about you, sweetie. You work so hard, but what's it all for if you're not living? The irony almost makes me laugh. Almost. I'll see you Saturday, Mom. I hang up and pull up Instagram, where Jayla's latest post shows her lounging by a hotel pool. Sometimes you just need a mental health day. Self-care Sautsark blessed. The timestamp? Yesterday, when I was covering their property tax payment. A memory hits me. 3 years ago, right after Dad's contracting business failed. I just gotten a promotion and mentioned maybe buying a condo. Oh, honey, Mom had said, but who would help us with the house? We're not getting any younger, and you know how your father's pride works. He'd never accept help from strangers, but he'd accept it from me, as long as it was secret, as long as they could pretend. My doorbell rings. It's Tanner, unannounced as usual. Sis! He hugs me before I can stop him. Was in the neighborhood, thought I'd drop by. Really? This far from your usual spots? He laughs, making himself at home on my couch. Can't a brother visit? Actually, about that investment opportunity. The crypto thing? Better. NFTs. Ground floor opportunity. Just need some startup capital. He pulls out his phone. Look at these projections. How much? Just $25K. I know it sounds like a lot, but like the equity loans? The words slip out before I can stop them. He freezes. What? Nothing. I force a smile. Tell me more about these NFTs. He launches into his pitch, but his eyes keep darting around, nervous. He knows I know something. My phone pings with a notification. Jayla's posted again. Shopping therapy with my amazing mom. Blessed are our mother-daughter. Attached is a photo of them at some luxury boutique, Mom modeling an expensive-looking dress. Hey, Tanner says, noticing my expression. You okay? You seem different lately. Do I? Maybe I'm just tired of working so hard. He shifts uncomfortably. Yeah, you do work a lot. We worry, you know. All that stress isn't good for you. Funny how no one worried about my stress when I catch myself. Never mind. About that investment. Yeah? I'll think about it. His face lights up. Really? Because I already told some people you were in. I said I'll think about it. My tone makes him stand up. Right, well, let me know before Saturday. Speaking of which, what's this big announcement? Mom thinks you're either pregnant or joined a cult. I walk him to the door. You'll find out Saturday. After he leaves, I check my bank account. Another automatic transfer to their mortgage is pending. My finger hovers over the cancel button. Not yet. My phone buzzes again. A text from Julia. Hey, future sis. Tanner mentioned you might be helping with his new business venture. You're such an amazing sister. Can't wait for Saturday. I think about all the times I could have said no. All the times I almost did. The day I got approved for my own mortgage but canceled it because Mom called crying about their heating bill. The vacation I canceled when Tanner needed emergency car repairs. The savings account I drained when Dad's business failed. Each time, I convinced myself it was temporary. Each time, I told myself that's what family does. But family doesn't do this. I open my laptop and start preparing the files I'll need for Saturday. Bank statements, loan documents, property records, every receipt, every transfer, every lie. They wanted an announcement? They'll get one. And this time, I won't be the only one losing sleep over money. Amber? I look up from my coffee, and for a moment, I forget about Saturday's dinner, about bank statements, about everything. Because standing in front of me is Deacon, and he looks exactly the same as he did in college. I thought that was you, he says, smiling that crooked smile I used to dream about. Mind if I join you? I gesture to the empty chair at my cafe table. Still taking your coffee black? Some things never change. He sits down, setting his laptop bag aside. Though some things do. Heard you're some hotshot senior auditor now. And you're still stalking my LinkedIn? He laughs. Guilty. We're actually working in the same building. I saw you in the lobby last week, but you seemed preoccupied. Probably the day I found the foreclosure notices. Yeah, just family stuff. Ah. His expression shifts. The famous Blake family drama, still playing ATM for them? I nearly choke on my coffee. How did you remember that night in senior year when you got that call from your mom about their heating bill? You canceled our weekend trip to cover it. He stirs his coffee. Some patterns are hard to break. You knew back then? I knew you deserved better than being their safety net. Still do. Something about his directness, his memory of that moment, breaks something loose inside me. Before I can stop myself, I'm telling him everything. The mortgage payments, the hidden foreclosure notices, the planned confrontation. Jesus, Amber. His knuckles are white around his coffee cup. That's not family, that's financial abuse. I know. I can't believe I let it go on so long. Because you're a good person. They weaponize that. He leans forward. So what's the plan? Besides this dinner showdown? I haven't thought past Saturday, honestly. Stop the payments, he says immediately. Cold turkey. Let them figure it out. But what? They sink? That's on them, not you. My phone buzzes. Tanner again. Sis, about that investment. Got some people really interested. Need an answer ASAP. Deacon reads the message over my shoulder and scoffs. Let me guess. Crypto or NFTs? Both, apparently. Classic. You know what's worse than enabling them? Enabling them while they mock you for being responsible? He's right. I know he's right, but they're still my family. Are they? He catches my eye. Because from where I'm sitting, they're just people who share your DNA and drain your bank account. My phone buzzes again. Mom this time. Darling, need to finalize numbers for Saturday. Jayla's bringing her new photographer friend to document your announcement. So exciting. They think I'm announcing something life-changing, I explained to Deacon. They have no idea. Oh, it'll be life-changing all right. He grins. Just not in the way they expect. For the first time in weeks, I laugh. Really laugh. God, I've missed you. Missed you too. He glances at his watch. I should head back to work. But listen. He pulls out a business card, writes something on the back. This is my personal number. If you need backup on Saturday or just want to talk, call me. I take the card, our fingers brushing. Thanks, Deacon. And Amber? He stands, gathering his things. Whatever happens Saturday, remember? You're not the bad guy here. They are. After he leaves, I sit there, turning his card over in my hands. My phone buzzes one more time. Tanner, hey, since you're treating Saturday, mind if I bring a few potential investors? Great networking opportunity. Also, can you make it that pasta thing you do? Julia loves it. P.S. Still need that answer about the investment. Tick-tock. I stare at the message, feeling something shift inside me. The same brother who took out secret equity loans on the house now wants to bring investors to dinner. The same brother who mocks my boring job wants my money for his schemes. I pick up my phone and type, "Sure, bring whoever you want. The more witnesses, the better." Then I pull out my laptop and open the folder labeled Saturday. Time to add a few more receipts to the pile. Because Deacon's right. I'm not the bad guy here. I'm just the one who's finally done playing nice. My finger hovers over the mortgage payment account. One click, and I could stop it all now. Not yet. Let them have their last supper. Let them bring their photographers and investors and expectations. Let them think they still have me fooled. Saturday can't come soon enough. Everything's in here, Violet says, handing me a sleek black folder. Bank statements, property records, equity loan documents, text message screenshots, all chronological, all annotated. Even included a timeline of their purchases matched against your transfers. We're in her office, hours before the dinner. The folder feels heavy in my hands, weighted with 5 years of receipts and resentment. I still can't believe Tanner took out those equity loans, I say, flipping through the pages. 3 of them, Violet corrects. And guess what else I found? He's been subletting the pool house on Airbnb, pocketing the money while you pay the mortgage. My phone chimes. Mom, honey, we invited the Petersons too. Hope that's okay. They're dying to hear your news. The Petersons, Violet asks, they're country club friends? Mom's trying to turn this into a social event. I scroll through more messages. She's invited half the neighborhood. Perfect. Violet smirks. Bigger audience. My phone rings. It's Deacon. Just checking in, he says when I answer. Need any backup tonight? I think I've got it covered, but thanks. Call me after? I want to hear everything. After hanging up, I catch Violet's raised eyebrow. What? Nothing. Just nice to see you reconnecting with someone who actually cares about you. I check my watch. 2 hours until dinner. I should go get ready. Wait. Violet pulls something from her desk. Wear this. It's a crisp white blazer, elegant but powerful. Your court blazer? You're presenting evidence, aren't you? Might as well look the part. At home, I lay everything out. Violet's blazer, the black folder, my laptop with all the digital copies, a small voice recorder, Violet's suggestion, just in case. My phone keeps buzzing. Jayla. OMG, sis. My photographer friend is so excited. Should we do before and after shots of your announcement? Julia. Can't wait to hear your news. Tanner says the investors are super interested in meeting you. Mom. Darling, we're setting up the good china, and I got champagne for after your announcement. I take a deep breath and start getting ready. Hair smooth and professional. Minimal makeup. Violet's blazer fits perfectly. The folder goes into my laptop bag, along with a USB drive containing 5 years of digital records. I check everything 3 times. One last text comes through. From Dad. Your mother's very excited about tonight. Whatever you're planning, just be gentle with her. My hands shake as I read it. Does he know? Has he figured it out? Too late now. I grab my keys and head out. The drive to my parents' house feels surreal, like I'm watching someone else steer the car. Their driveway is already full of expensive vehicles. Looks like Mom really did invite everyone. Through the front window, I can see people milling around. Jayla's photographer friend is setting up lights. Tanner's talking animatedly to a group of men in business casual. Must be his investors. My phone buzzes one last time. It's Deacon. Remember, you're not the bad guy. Give them hell. I touch the folder in my bag, straighten Violet's blazer, and walk to the door. Before I can knock, it swings open. There's my baby! Mom pulls me into a perfumed hug. Everyone's been asking about you. Come in. Come in. The house is packed. I recognize the Petersons, some neighbors, faces from Mom's social circle. Jayla's holding court by the fireplace, posing for her photographer. Tanner immediately waves me over to his group. Sis, perfect timing. These gentlemen were just asking about investment opportunities. Later, I cut him off. Let's eat first. Mom claps her hands. Yes, everyone to the dining room. Amber, darling, we put you at the head of the table. Since it's your special night, I follow the crowd into the dining room. The table is set with the good china, crystal glasses sparkling. Name cards mark each place. Fresh flowers everywhere. All paid for with my last mortgage payment, no doubt. Speech, someone calls out as we settle in. Tell us the big news. Yes, honey, Mom beams. Don't keep us in suspense. I look around the table. At Mom's expectant smile. At Dad's nervous eyes. At Jayla's camera-ready pose. At Tanner whispering to his investors. My hand touches my laptop bag. Actually, I say, standing slowly, I do have something to share with everyone. The room quiets. Phones come out to record. The photographer raises her camera. I unzip my bag and pull out the black folder. It's about the house, I continue, watching their faces, and some very interesting financial records I've found. Mom's smile flickers. Dad goes pale. Tanner stops mid-whisper. Time to burn it all down. Before I begin, I say, opening the folder, I want to thank everyone for coming, especially the Petersons. You've known our family for what, 20 years now? Mrs. Peterson nods, beaming. We wouldn't miss your big announcement for the world, dear. Perfect. Then you'll appreciate this story. I pull out the first document. It starts 5 years ago with this foreclosure notice. The room goes silent. Dad's hand tightens around his wine glass. Amber, Mom laughs nervously. Nobody wants to hear about boring paperwork. Tell them your news. This is my news. I place the notice on the table. See, 5 years ago, I started paying the mortgage on this house. Every month, like clockwork. $400. Jayla's photographer keeps snapping photos. I can see the exact moment realization hits my sister's face. But here's where it gets interesting, I continue, pulling out more papers. While I was keeping this roof over our heads, some fascinating purchases were being made. I start laying out bank statements, matching them with social media posts I'd printed. Here's my March payment, and here's Jayla's Aspen trip that same week. April payment, Mom's kitchen renovation, May payment, Tanner's new car. Amber, stop this right now, Mom hisses, but I'm not done. Oh, and these are special. I pull out the equity loan documents. 3 separate loans taken out against the house. The same house I've been paying for. Want to explain these, Tanner? My brother stands abruptly. This is ridiculous. We're here for a celebration. We are celebrating, I cut him off. We're celebrating the end of this arrangement. One of Tanner's investors clears his throat. Perhaps we should step out. No, please stay, I say. You should know who you're potentially investing with. Someone who takes out secret loans on property they don't pay for, then tries to scam his sister for crypto money. That's enough. Dad slams his hand on the table. Glasses rattle. You're right. It is enough. I pull out my phone, opening my banking app, which is why I just canceled the automatic mortgage payment. For the first time in 5 years, this house is your problem again. Mom starts to cry, her practiced theatrical sobs. How could you do this to us? To your family? Family? I laugh. Was it family when you mocked my boring lifestyle while spending my money? Was it family when you hid the foreclosure notice and manipulated me into paying your debts? Jayla stands up, wobbling slightly from wine. You're just jealous because I actually made something of myself. You made Instagram posts with my mortgage payments. My voice rises. Every time I transferred money to save this house, you were at a spa or on vacation or buying designer clothes. The photographer's camera keeps clicking. Good. Let her document this. Mrs. Peterson, Mom turns desperately to her friend. You see how she's treating us? After all we've done, all you've done? I pull out one final document. Here's the total, $144,800. That's what I've paid while you lived your Instagram perfect lives, while you called me boring, frugal, a workaholic. The room erupts in whispers. Tanner's investors are already heading for the door. The Petersons exchange horrified glances. And you know what the worst part is? I look directly at my parents. You knew exactly what you were doing. Every time you asked for money, every time you watched me cancel my own plans to cover your bills, every time you laughed at my cheap lifestyle, you knew. Julia, Tanner's girlfriend, suddenly stands. I think I should go. Stay, I tell her. You should see who you're really dating. A man who sublets the pool house on Airbnb while his sister pays the mortgage. More guests start to leave. Mom's mascara is running. Dad won't meet my eyes. Amber, Jayla tries one last time. You're making a scene. No, I'm making things clear. I close my folder. The payments stop now. The lies stop now. The manipulation stops now. I gather my things, feeling lighter than I have in years. Oh, and Mom, that champagne you bought for my announcement, put it on my tab. It'll be the last one. I walk toward the door, then turn back one final time. The table is a tableau of shocked faces, spilled wine, and scattered evidence of their betrayal. You know what's funny? All these years you thought I was boring because I was careful with money, because I worked hard and lived within my means. But the real joke? I could have had everything you pretended to have. I just chose to save your house instead. I straighten Violet's blazer. Dinner's over. Good luck with the mortgage. The photographer catches one last shot as I leave, head high, walking away from the ruins of their carefully constructed lies. Behind me, I hear Mom wail, "What will people think?" For the first time in 5 years, that's not my problem anymore. The aftermath hits in waves. First come the texts, a tsunami of family meltdown. Mom, how could you humiliate us like this after everything we've done for you? Jayla, hope you're happy. My photographer posted everything. My sponsors are dropping me. Tanner, you ruined my investment deals. This isn't over. Dad, we need to talk, please. I block their numbers one by one. Deacon shows up at my apartment an hour after the dinner, holding takeout and wearing a concerned expression. Violet called me, said you might need a friend tonight. Come in, I say, realizing I haven't eaten anything since morning. It's done. How bad? Nuclear. I take the food container he offers. Mom cried. Dad raged. Jayla's sponsors are apparently reviewing their contracts. Tanner's crypto investors fled. Good. He sits beside me on the couch. They deserved worse. My phone keeps lighting up with notifications. Emails now, since they can't text. Mom, your father's blood pressure is through the roof. If anything happens to him, it's on your conscience. Jayla, my social media manager quit. Thanks for destroying my brand, sis. Julia, how could you do this to Tanner? He trusted you. They're still trying to make me the villain, I tell Deacon, showing him the emails. Block those too, he says. They had 5 years of chances to do the right thing. A knock at the door makes us both jump. It's Violet, looking fierce in her court suit. Came straight from work, she says, striding in. The photographer posted the whole thing online. It's spreading fast in your parents' social circle. How bad? She pulls out her phone, showing me a local community Facebook group. There are already dozens of comments. Can't believe the Blakes did this to their own daughter. No wonder they always had money for the country club. Those poor investors Tanner almost scammed. Your mom's bridge club is particularly vocal, Violet says, almost gleefully. Apparently, she bragged last week about her upcoming Aspen trip. They're not happy learning where that money came from. My laptop pings an email from work. My hands shake as I open it. What is it? Deacon asks. Tanner? I read aloud. He's telling HR I hacked the family finances, trying to get me in trouble at work. Forward that to me, Violet says immediately. I'll handle it. We have documentation proving every payment was legitimate. Another knock. This time it's Dad, looking older than I've ever seen him. Amber, please, he starts, but Deacon steps between us. She's not available, he says firmly. I'm her father. No, I say, finding my voice. You're my former landlord, and I've moved out. Dad's face crumples. The bank called, without your payment. Not my problem anymore. After he leaves, I sink onto the couch between Deacon and Violet. I need to get out of here for a while. Clear my head. Use my beach house, Violet offers. Take a week. Let the dust settle. I'll drive you, Deacon adds quickly. My phone buzzes one last time. An Instagram notification. Jayla's photographer friend has posted the dinner photos with a lengthy caption. Tonight, I witnessed a powerful moment of family truth. A story about financial abuse, gaslighting, and one woman's courage to expose it all. To the sister who funded their lifestyle while they mocked her choices, you're my hero. Sharp family drama, justice. The receipts never lie. The post is going viral. Pack a bag, Deacon says, reading over my shoulder. You need space from this circus. While I'm throwing clothes into a suitcase, Violet handles the logistics of my temporary escape. She calls my boss, explaining the situation, sets up mail forwarding, arranges for my apartment to be watched. One last thing, she says, pulling out her laptop. Want to see the house listing? What house listing? Your parents. They posted it an hour ago. Urgent sale, immediate possession, possible. I look at the familiar facade, the manicured lawn I helped pay for, the pool house Tanner secretly rented out. You know what's weird? I zip up my suitcase. I don't feel guilty anymore. Deacon takes my bag. That's because you're free. As we head to his car, more emails flood in. Flying monkeys deployed by my family. How could you do this to your mother? Family matters should stay private. You've destroyed them. But for the first time in 5 years, their words have no power over me. Ready? Deacon asks, holding the car door. I look back at my apartment, then at my phone showing the endless stream of family fallout. Yeah, I say, deleting the emails without reading them. I'm ready to live my own life. The car pulls away, and I don't look back. Let them deal with their mortgage, their reputation, their consequences. I've paid enough. The beach house becomes my sanctuary, but karma doesn't take vacations. Your story's trending, Violet tells me over FaceTime. Someone posted it on Reddit. The comments are overwhelming. I'm sitting on the deck, watching waves crash while Deacon makes coffee inside. How bad is it? Not bad for you. People are calling you a hero. Your family, though. She winces. The internet is not kind to financial abusers. My laptop chimes with a new email from Jayla's biggest sponsor. Dear Ms. Blake, we're reaching out regarding your sister's influencer contract. Given recent events and evidence of financial misrepresentation, we're terminating our partnership effective immediately. That's the third one today, I tell Violet. Apparently, authenticity matters in influencer marketing. Speaking of authenticity, she says, have you seen the house listing updates? I pull up the real estate site. The price has dropped twice already. The description now reads, motivated sellers. All reasonable offers considered. They're desperate, Violet explains. The bank's pushing for immediate payment after those equity loans were exposed. Deacon comes out with coffee, catching the end of our call. After Violet hangs up, he sits beside me. Any regrets? He asks. Only that I didn't do it sooner. My phone rings. An unknown number. Usually I'd ignore it, but something makes me answer. Is this Amber Blake? A woman's professional voice. I'm a producer with National Public Radio. We're doing a story on hidden financial abuse in families, and your story has caught our attention. I look at Deacon, who nods encouragingly. Actually, I tell the producer, I think this is a story that needs to be told. The interview airs the following week. I tell everything. The manipulation, the mockery, the secret payments. The producer asks hard questions about family loyalty and financial boundaries. What would you tell others in your situation? She asks. Stop setting yourself on fire to keep toxic people warm. The response is immediate. My inbox fills with messages from others sharing similar stories. Daughters, sons, siblings, all trapped in cycles of financial abuse masked as family duty. Then comes the email from Julia. I left Tanner. After seeing those documents, how could I stay? He tried to convince me you were lying, but the proof was right there. Thank you for opening my eyes. Deacon reads it over my shoulder. One life saved already. Maybe more, I say, showing him another message, this one from Mrs. Peterson. Dear Amber, I've known your parents for 20 years. Play bridge with your mother every Thursday. After your revelation, I started questioning things. How many others had they manipulated? How many loans had they taken? I've spoken with the club board. Your mother's treasurer position has been reviewed. The house sells well below market value. I hear about it from the real estate agent herself, who reaches out specifically to tell me, your brother tried to block the sale, claiming partial ownership through those equity loans. The bank shut that down fast. Thought you should know, karma's real. Deacon brings me more coffee, then hesitates. Your dad called my office today. My stomach tightens. What did he want? To know if you'd reconsider. Said they've learned their lesson. He sits next to me. I told him lessons don't count if you're only sorry because you got caught. I check my email one last time before bed. There's a message from a journalist. Your story has sparked an important conversation about financial abuse in families. Would you be interested in contributing to a book about setting healthy monetary boundaries? I think about all the others out there, silently paying family bills while swallowing their pride. All the secret ATMs being drained by guilt and manipulation. Yes, I reply, I would. Deacon reads my response and smiles. From victim to advocate. Nice plot twist. Speaking of twists, I pull up my banking app. Look what I can afford now that I'm not paying someone else's mortgage. The down payment for my own house sits there, growing instead of shrinking. My money, my choice, my future. Ready to go house hunting? He asks. Actually, I close the laptop. I think I'll enjoy renting a little longer, build my savings, travel some, live the life they said I was wasting. My phone buzzes one last time. A text from Violet. Your mom's bridge club is using your story as a warning tale. Don't pull an Amber is apparently their new code for catching someone in a financial lie. Thought you'd appreciate the irony. I do appreciate it. Just like I appreciate the waves crashing outside, the coffee growing cold beside me, and the man who helped me find my voice sitting close enough to touch. You know what's funny, I tell him. I spent 5 years saving their home, but I ended up saving myself instead. He takes my hand, and I let him. Because that's the thing about breaking free. It makes room for something better to begin.
The worst part about waking up from a coma isn't the pain or confusion. It's realizing that everything you thought was a nightmare is actually your new reality. I learned this the hard way 3 years ago, when I opened my eyes to find myself trapped in a body that felt like it belonged to someone else. My name is Natalie, and I was 26 when a drunk driver decided to play pinball with my Toyota Corolla on a rainy Tuesday evening. I remember fragments: the screech of tires, the metallic crunch of impact, and the strange, weightless feeling as my car rolled down the embankment. Then, nothing. "Welcome back, sweetheart," Mum's voice was the first thing I heard. She was perched beside my hospital bed, perfectly manicured as always, not a hair out of place. "We've been so worried." I tried to speak, but my throat felt like sandpaper. Dad appeared on my other side, pressing a cup of water to my lips. "Easy does it, kiddo. You've been out for almost 2 weeks." The next few days were a blur of doctors, tests, and devastating news. Multiple spinal fractures, severe nerve damage. The words partial paralysis and long-term rehabilitation floated around my room like unwelcome ghosts. But the good news, Dr. Harrison said, trying to sound optimistic, is that the driver's insurance is paying out a substantial settlement, $600,000 to cover your ongoing care and rehabilitation. Mum squeezed my hand. "We'll handle everything, sweetie. You just focus on getting better." I should have noticed the gleam in her eyes when she said that. My brother Quentin visited a week later, bringing his girlfriend Kayla and his usual larger-than-life presents. "Look who's finally awake," he boomed, making my head throb. "Man, sis, you really know how to get attention, don't you?" "Quentin," Dad warned, but there was no real authority in his voice. There never was when it came to my brother. "What? I'm just saying, it's kind of perfect timing. My new business venture is just taking off and—" "Not now." Mum cut him off, but they shared a look I couldn't quite read. My friend Lena, a lawyer I'd known since college, visited regularly. She helped me understand the settlement details, explaining everything in her calm, methodical way. "You need to be careful with this money, Nat," she said one afternoon when we were alone. "It needs to last." "Mum and Dad are handling it," I told her. "They've set up some kind of trust." Lena's expression tightened. "Let me add something to the paperwork, just in case." "In case of what?" She didn't answer directly, just squeezed my hand. "Trust me on this one." I didn't understand her concern then. I was too focused on the basics, learning to sit up without passing out, fighting through the nerve pain that felt like lightning through my legs, trying to accept that my pre-med dreams were probably over. My physical therapist, Lucia, became my lifeline. She pushed me hard, but knew exactly when to ease up. "Your body is healing," she'd say, "but your spirit needs to heal too." One evening, about a month after I woke up, Dad came to visit wearing his work coat despite the warm weather. As he hugged me awkwardly around the monitors, something fell from his pocket. A bank letter. I managed to snag it when he wasn't looking. The letter mentioned a disbursement adjustment to an account in Nevada. That was strange. We lived in Michigan, and as far as I knew, we had no connections to Nevada. "Everything okay?" Dad asked, noticing my expression. I forced a smile. "Just tired." "Hey, when can we start looking at those specialized therapy programs Dr. Harrison mentioned?" "Oh, well..." Dad suddenly became very interested in his phone. "Your mother's handling all that. We need to be strategic with the funds, you know. Make sure everything's properly invested." That night, I lay awake in my hospital bed, the letter's words burning in my mind. Something felt wrong, but I couldn't quite piece it together yet. I thought about Lena's cryptic warning, about Mom's endless deflections regarding the settlement money, about Quentin's new business venture. My phone buzzed with a text from my brother. "Great news. Just signed the lease on my new office space. Mom says you'll be so proud when you see what we've done with the investment." Investment. The word hit me like a second car crash. I stared at the ceiling, my hands clenching the scratchy hospital blanket. They wouldn't, I thought. They couldn't. But deep down, I already knew they had. Coming home felt like entering a funhouse mirror version of my old life. Everything looked almost right, but not quite. Mom had installed a basic metal ramp over the front steps, the cheapest model available according to the sticker still stuck to its underside. My bedroom had been moved to the first floor, into what used to be Dad's office. "We did our best with the modifications," Mum said, wheeling me inside. "The contractor wanted a fortune for those fancy grab bars and wider doorways, but we found some reasonable alternatives." Reasonable alternatives meant I could barely fit my wheelchair through the bathroom door, and reaching the sink was like solving a puzzle every morning. "When can we start the full renovation?" I asked during dinner that first night. Dr. Harrison said proper accessibility is crucial for— "Oh, honey," Mum interrupted, exchanging glances with Dad. "We need to be practical about expenses. There's not enough left for all that premium stuff." Not enough left? The words hit me like ice water. "But the settlement is being carefully managed," Dad said quickly, "for everyone's benefit." The next week, Quinton hosted a grand opening party for his new business venture, some kind of tech startup involving cryptocurrency and social media influencers. I couldn't follow his explanation, but I could certainly follow the money trail. The party was held at his new downtown office space, all gleaming glass and modern furniture. A champagne tower sparkled in the corner, and waiters circulated with expensive hors d'oeuvres. "Pretty impressive, right?" Kayla sidled up to my wheelchair, champagne flute in hand. "Quinton says the family support made all this possible. Isn't it amazing how everyone's coming together?" I forced a smile that felt like broken glass. "Yeah, amazing!" During my next physical therapy session, I couldn't focus. Lucia noticed immediately. "Your mind's somewhere else today," she said, helping me with my exercises. "Want to talk about it?" The whole story spilled out. The settlement, the mysterious bank transfers, Quinton's sudden prosperity. Lucia's hand stilled on my leg. "Natalie, you know you still have rights, right? That money was meant for your care." "I know," I whispered, "but what can I do? They're my family." "Family doesn't mean they own you." She hesitated. "And maybe you have more power than you think." That night, I called Lena for the first time since leaving the hospital. "I was wondering when you'd contact me," she said. "How much have they taken?" "I don't know exactly, but Quinton's new office alone must have cost— Send me everything you can find. Bank statements, transfer records, anything. And Natalie, remember that clause we added? It's still there, waiting." Before I could ask what she meant, Mum burst into my room without knocking. "Quinton's got a surprise for everyone," she announced. "Come to the driveway." There, gleaming under the streetlights, sat a brand new Porsche. Quinton was leaning against it, grinning like a game show host. "Pretty sweet, right?" he called out. "The business is really taking off. This is just the beginning." I watched as Mum and Dad fawned over the car, their faces glowing with pride. Kayla snapped photos for social media. No one seemed to notice or care that I had to park my wheelchair at an awkward angle just to see past them. Later, as everyone headed inside for celebratory drinks, I heard Dad and Quinton talking near the garage. "The insurance payment cleared?" Quinton asked. "Yeah, but we need to be more careful," Dad replied. "Let's just hope she never finds out." "Relax, she's not exactly in a position to do anything about it." I sat there in the darkness, my hands gripping my wheelchair's arms until my knuckles turned white. They thought I was helpless, weak, just a burden to be managed. That night, I sent Lena a text. "Tell me about this clause." Her response came immediately. "Come to my office tomorrow. It's time you learned about your insurance policy's fine print." I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling I could barely see through the darkness. The same ceiling my parents couldn't afford to install proper grab bars under, somehow. The house creaked and settled around me, and somewhere upstairs I could hear Quinton's muffled laughter. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Lena. By the way, keep every receipt, every bank statement, every email you can find. Document everything. Trust me. For the first time since the accident, I felt something other than pain and helplessness, something sharp and cold and clarifying. They thought they could steal my future because I couldn't walk. Fine. Let them think that. Let them think I was just their token disabled daughter, grateful for their scraps of attention and care. They had no idea what was coming. I decided to give them one chance to come clean. Maybe there was an explanation. Maybe I was wrong. I wheeled myself into the living room where Mom was arranging flowers, always keeping up appearances, and Dad was pretending to read the newspaper. We need to talk about the settlement money, I said quietly. The newspaper crinkled as Dad's hands tightened. Mom didn't turn around. What about it, sweetie? Her voice was honey-sweet, warning bells wrapped in sugar. Where is it? Mum finally turned, her smile perfect and practiced. It's being invested, dear, for the future of the family. My future, I corrected. It was meant for my care. And you're being cared for, aren't you? She gestured around the room. You have a roof over your head, food on the table, and a bathroom I can barely use. No proper therapy equipment. No, those things are expensive, Dad cut in. We had to make practical decisions. Like buying Quinton a Porsche? The room went silent. Mum's smile flickered, but held. Your brother's business ventures will benefit everyone, she said. The money will grow, and then we can look at those fancy modifications you want. When? Don't use that tone with your mother, Dad warned. I pulled out my phone where I documented everything. The settlement was deposited 4 months ago. Since then, there have been transfers to Nevada, payments to luxury car dealers, and $100,000 to Q Tech Ventures. Want to explain that? Mum's smile vanished. Have you been snooping through our papers? They're my papers, my money. You ungrateful little... Mum caught herself. After everything we've done for you. Done for me? You stole from me. We did not steal, Dad said firmly. We invested in Quinton, like always. As if summoned, my brother appeared in the doorway, Kayla hovering behind him. What's all the shouting about? He asked, though his smirk suggested he knew exactly what was happening. Your sister is being dramatic about money, Mum said. Again? Quinton rolled his eyes. You should be grateful you at least have a roof over your head. Do you know how expensive it is to take care of you? Not as expensive as your car payments, I shot back. That car is a business investment, he sneered. Something you wouldn't understand sitting around all day. I sit around all day because I can't afford the therapy I need. Oh, here we go with the guilt trip. Quinton threw up his hands. You know what? You're lucky we didn't put you in a home. Most families wouldn't deal with this burden. Mom didn't even scold him for saying it. She just stood there, arranging her stupid flowers. I pulled out my phone again and started recording. So, just to be clear, you all think it's okay to use my settlement money meant for my medical care, to fund Quinton's business? We're not having this conversation, Dad said. Why not? Afraid of saying it out loud? The money is tied up in promising ventures, Mum insisted. Everything we've done is for this family's future. My future matters too. Your future is secure, Dad said. You have us. I laughed, and it wasn't a happy sound. Yeah, I have you. Taking my money, treating me like a burden, and expecting me to be grateful for it. Later that night, I heard them arguing upstairs. I wheeled closer to the stairs, recording on my phone. She's getting suspicious, Dad was saying. We need to fix this before she finds out everything. Fix what? Mum snapped. Why, we did what we had to do. Quinton needed the capital, and she wasn't using the money anyway. It was supposed to be for her care. She has care. Basic care is enough. Quentin has real potential. He just needs support to succeed. I sent the recording to Lena immediately. Her response came quickly. Perfect. Keep gathering evidence. The trap is almost ready. I glanced at Dad's tablet, left carelessly on the coffee table. He never was good with technology or passwords. 3 tries later, I was in his email. There it was. A transfer receipt from my trust fund to Quentin's personal account. $200,000 labelled as family investment. I forwarded it to Lena, then wheeled myself back to my room. Through the wall, I could hear Quentin and Kayla laughing about something in the kitchen, probably planning their next vacation with my money. Just wait, I whispered to myself. Keep laughing, keep spending, keep thinking you've won, because Lena was right. The trap was almost ready, and none of them saw it coming. You're pushing yourself too hard, Lucia said during our therapy session, but I could tell she was impressed. 3 sets yesterday? 4 today? I need them to think I'm getting weaker, I explained, powering through another rep. The more helpless they think I am, the less they'll suspect. Lucia checked that the door was closed before speaking. Lena called me, asked if I'd testify about your reduced therapy schedule and the impact it's having on your recovery. Will you? She squeezed my shoulder. Every damn word will be true. At home, I played my part perfectly. I dropped things more often, asked for help with basic tasks, acted increasingly dependent. Mom ate it up, cooing over me like I was a child. See? She told Dad one evening. She's doing fine with the basic care. We made the right choice. I recorded that too. Lena's office was my sanctuary. We met weekly, building our case piece by piece. The clause is beautiful in its simplicity, she explained, spreading papers across her desk. If fraudulent use of settlement funds is proven, the court can authorize seizure of any asset used as collateral in the trust agreement. And what asset was that? Her smile was razor sharp. Your parents' house. They signed it over as guarantee when they became trustees. Probably didn't even read the fine print. They never do, I said. They're too used to being in control. Right on cue, my phone buzzed with a text from Mum. Quentin's hosting an investor meeting at the house tonight. Please stay in your room. We need to make a good impression. I showed Lena the message. She started typing on her computer. Perfect timing, she said, because guess what your brother's investors don't know? His company's being funded with stolen medical settlement money. One anonymous tip to the SEC and... Not yet, I said. We need one more piece. That night, I pretended to sleep through the investor meeting, but my phone was recording everything through the thin walls. The initial capital came from family support, Quentin was saying. We believe in investing in our own. Substantial investment, someone commented. Family must really believe in you. Oh, they do, Quentin laughed. Let's just say we had a windfall, and we knew exactly how to put it to good use. The next morning, Mum and Dad were huddled in the kitchen, talking in low voices. We need another 100,000, Dad was saying. The first round investors want to see more skin in the game. We can take out a second mortgage, Mum suggested. The house has plenty of equity. I wheeled myself to Lucia's office instead of our usual therapy room. They're going to take out another loan, I told her, using the house as collateral. The same house that's already collateral for your trust, she said, understanding immediately. Does Lena know? Texted her on the way here. She says it's perfect. The more debt they pile on, the harder they'll fall. I worked extra hard in therapy that day, but made sure to wince and struggle when Mum picked me up. Maybe we should scale back the sessions, she suggested, watching me fake grimace as I transferred to the car. They're clearly too much for you. Whatever you think is best, Mum. At home, I found Dad's tablet again. This time, there was an email thread about the new loan application. He'd even attached a photo of his driver's license for verification. I forwarded everything to Lena. Her response was immediate. Got it. All the pieces are in place. Ready when you are. I looked around the house. The house they'd signed away without reading the fine print. The house they were about to borrow against, not knowing it was already forfeit. My phone buzzed again. Mum. Quinton's investors loved the presentation. They're going to fund his next phase. All our sacrifices are finally paying off. I wheeled myself to the window, watching Mum and Dad help Quinton load presentation materials into his Porsche. They were laughing, celebrating another win for their golden boy. Hey, sis, Quinton called out, seeing me at the window. Thanks for staying quiet last night. Wouldn't want your wheelchair ramps ruining the aesthetic, right? I smiled and waved. Let them think I was the grateful, quiet daughter. Let them think I was weak. I opened my laptop and typed a single email to Lena. Do it. Her reply came seconds later. Papers will be filed in the morning. Are you sure you're ready? I looked at my reflection in the window. The daughter they thought they could steal from. The sister they thought they could silence. The woman they thought they had broken. I'm ready. The trap was set, and tomorrow it would snap shut. The bank liaison arrived at exactly 9:06 a.m., her heels clicking on our front walkway. I watched through the window as Mum opened the door, perfect hostess smile in place. Mrs. Boyd, I'm Amanda Torres from First National. I'm here about the property inspection. Mum's smile flickered. Property inspection? We haven't scheduled anything. It's a standard procedure before asset seizure, Amanda explained, consulting her tablet. As per the court filing this morning. Court filing? There must be some mistake. I wheeled myself into the foyer. No mistake, Mom. The colour drained from her face. Natalie, what did you do? I protected my future, since you wouldn't. Dad emerged from his study, drawn by the commotion. What's going on? Sir, Amanda said, I need to document the current state of the property. The court has authorised an inspection in preparation for potential seizure under Trust Violation Clause 247B. Trust violation? Dad's voice went up an octave. What trust violation? The one you triggered when you stole my settlement money, I said quietly. Remember that paperwork you signed without reading? The house was collateral. Mum's perfect mask cracked. You can't do this. We're your parents. Parents don't steal from their disabled daughter. We didn't steal, Mum shrieked. We invested in Quinton's failed businesses, in his Porsche, in everything except my care. Amanda cleared her throat. I need to begin the inspection. Please don't remove any fixtures or make any alterations to the property. As if on cue, Quinton burst through the front door. What's this about a court filing? My investors are freaking out. Your sister, Mum spat, is trying to take our house. Not trying, I corrected. Taking, legally, just like you took my future. Quinton advanced on my wheelchair. You ungrateful little... I wouldn't, a new voice said. My cousin Darnell stood in the doorway, his massive frame blocking the light. Step away from her. This is family business, Quinton snapped. Darnell's smile was cold. Exactly why I'm here. Family. Mum turned to me, switching tactics. Her voice went soft, pleading. Sweetheart, be reasonable. Think about what this will do to our reputation, to the family name. Should have thought about that before you emptied my trust fund. We can fix this, Dad said desperately. We'll take out a loan, replace the money. With what collateral? I asked. The house you already signed away? Or maybe Quinton's Porsche? Amanda continued her inspection, taking photos and measurements, seemingly oblivious to the family drama unfolding around her. This will kill your mother. Dad tried again. Like making me skip therapy sessions didn't kill me. Like watching Quinton blow my care money on crypto didn't kill me. You're being dramatic, Quinton scoffed. I pulled out my phone. Really? Let's hear what you all have to say about it. I pressed play. Mum's voice filled the room. She wasn't using the money anyway. Then Dad's, we need to fix this before she finds out everything. And finally, Quinton's drunken boast to his investors. Let's just say we had a windfall, and we knew exactly how to put it to good use. The room fell silent except for Amanda's clicking camera and tapping keyboard. You recorded us, Mum whispered. I learned from the best, Mum. Always keep evidence, right? Isn't that what you taught me? The inspection is complete, Amanda announced. You'll receive formal documentation within 3 business days. Please remember, no alterations to the property. As she left, Darnell moved to stand behind my wheelchair. A silent guardian. You have 30 days, I said quietly. The court will give you 30 days to vacate. You can't be serious, Quinton laughed, but there was fear in his eyes. Where are we supposed to go? Maybe sell the Porsche? I hear those crypto investments aren't doing so well anyway. Mum collapsed onto the stairs, her perfect posture finally breaking. Please, Natalie, be reasonable. We can talk about this. Like you talked to me about spending my settlement. Like you talked to me about cutting my therapy. Like you talked to me about anything. Dad just stood there looking old and deflated. We thought we were doing the right thing. No, I said, wheeling myself towards my room. You thought I was too weak to fight back. That's a very different thing. This isn't over, Quinton called after me. I stopped and turned. Actually, it is. Check your investor emails. Turns out the SEC is very interested in medical settlement money being used for unauthorized business ventures. As I closed my door, I heard Mum start to cry. Not her usual manipulative tears, but real, broken sobs. I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. The court order arrived on a Tuesday morning. Mum refused to open it, so Dad did, his hand shaking as he broke the seal. 30 days, he confirmed, voice hollow. They're giving us 30 days to vacate. Quinton stormed in, waving his phone. My accounts are frozen. All of them. What did you do? Me? I raised an eyebrow. I didn't do anything. But it turns out using fraudulently obtained medical settlement money for business ventures is illegal. Who knew? You've ruined everything, he shouted. My investors are pulling out. Kayla's talking about taking a break. The SEC is what? I interrupted. Investigating where your startup capital came from? Funny how that works. Mom appeared in the doorway, looking like she'd aged 10 years overnight. I just got off the phone with the country club. They've suspended our membership pending the legal situation. Not the country club, I gasped mockingly. However will we survive? You're killing your mother's spirit, she whispered. No, Mum, you killed mine first, multiple times. Every time you chose Quinton over my health. A loud banging from upstairs made us all jump. Darnell, who'd appointed himself my unofficial bodyguard, appeared at the top of the stairs. Your brother's girlfriend is clearing out her stuff, he reported, and taking some family jewellery with her. What? Mum ran upstairs, her social disgrace temporarily forgotten. Quinton's face went pale. She wouldn't... Oh, but she did, Darnell smiled. I watched her pack up your grandmother's pearls and that vintage Rolex. Said something about compensation for wasted time. Those weren't hers to take. Mum's voice shrieked from above. Like my settlement, it wasn't yours to take, I called back. Dad sank into a chair, looking defeated. Natalie, please, we can work something out. The house has been in the family for generations. Should have thought about that before you signed it away. Did you even read the trust agreement? His silence was answer enough. Quentin paced the room like a caged animal. This is just spite. Pure spite. No, I corrected him. This is consequences. Remember when you said I should be grateful you didn't put me in a home, that I was lucky to have a roof over my head? Well, now it's my roof. The doorbell rang. Darnell answered it to find Lena standing there with a contractor. Hope you don't mind, she said brightly, walking in. We're just here to measure for the renovations. Full accessibility upgrade, proper wheelchair ramps, modified bathroom fixtures. You can't do this, Mum said, coming back downstairs. We haven't even moved out yet. Just planning ahead, Lena replied. 30 days goes by quickly. The contractor moved through the house, taking measurements and making notes. He passed Quentin's room just as Kayla emerged, dragging a heavy suitcase. Keep the Rolex, she spat at him. Sell it! You'll need the money more than me. Mum followed her, pleading. Kayla, dear, those are family heirlooms. Family? Kayla laughed bitterly. You mean the family that stole from their own daughter? The family that's about to be homeless? No thanks. I'm out. She stormed past us all, the front door slamming behind her. Dad finally spoke up, his voice broken. I'm sorry, Natalie. I should have stopped this. Should have protected you. But you didn't, I said quietly. You never did. What do you want? Mom asked. Money? We'll find a way to pay you back. I want what was already mine. My settlement, my independence, my future. And our future? Quentin demanded. Where are we supposed to go? Maybe try one of those budget apartments you said would be good enough for me. The ones you suggested when you wanted to sell this house for your business? The contractor finished his measurements and approached me. We can start work in about 5 weeks. Full accessibility throughout. Therapy room in the converted bedroom, everything up to medical code. Perfect, I said. That's exactly what the settlement was meant for in the first place. Mum started crying again, but I'd grown immune to her tears. They were just water now, not guilt. Lena touched my shoulder. Need anything else today? I looked around at my family. Mum's mascara-streaked face, Dad's defeated slump, Quentin's impotent rage, the people who thought they could steal my future because I couldn't walk. No, I said. I think everything's exactly where it should be. The contractor's pencil scratched against his notepad, measuring out my new future in inches and feet. Every mark was a victory, every number a step toward independence. They had taken everything from me. Now I was taking it back. Moving day arrived with a grey sky and scattered rain. I watched from the front window as Dad loaded boxes into their rented U-Haul. Mum hadn't emerged from the house yet, still making a show of her devastation. Need help with that? Darnell called out to Dad, who was struggling with a heavy box. We don't need your charity, Mum snapped, finally appearing with her designer handbag clutched like a shield. Wasn't offering any, Darnell replied smoothly. Just thought you might want to avoid dropping your precious china. Quentin appeared last, carrying only a small duffel bag. His Porsche was already gone, sold to cover legal fees and investor paybacks. Happy now? He asked, glaring at me. Got your revenge? This isn't revenge, I said. This is justice. Keep telling yourself that. He kicked a box, viciously. You've destroyed this family. No, you all did that when you stole from me. Mom approached my wheelchair, making one last attempt. Sweetheart, there's still time to reconsider. Think about what you're doing. Think about motherly love. Motherly love? I cut her off. Was it motherly love when you cancelled my therapy sessions to pay for Quentin's office furniture? Was it motherly love when you watched me struggle in a bathroom I could barely use while spending my settlement on his failed ventures? We were trying to secure everyone's future. No, you were betting my future on Quentin's dreams. How'd that work out? Dad paused in his loading. Natalie, please. Your mother's heart. Don't, I warned. Don't you dare make me the villain here. You had choices. You made them. These are the consequences. Lucia arrived then, carrying supplies for our afternoon therapy session. She'd be using the newly converted bedroom, my old bedroom, as a proper therapy space. Perfect timing, I said. You can help me check out the renovations. This is still our home, Mum protested weakly. Not anymore, Lena said, appearing with the final paperwork. As of noon today, the property transfers fully to Natalie. You need to be out by 2 p.m. Mum collapsed onto a chair, one of the few pieces of furniture remaining. Where did we go wrong? You want the list chronologically or alphabetically? I asked. You harbour such hate in your heart, she whispered. No, Mom, this isn't hate. This is balance. This is what happens when you treat your daughter like an ATM and expect her to thank you for it. Quentin stormed out, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the windows. Through the glass, I watched him walk away. No car to drive off in, no girlfriend to run to, no investors to bail him out. Dad finished loading the last box. The apartment's not much, but we'll manage. Like I had to manage? I asked, with inadequate care and empty promises. He looked at me for a long moment. I failed you. I see that now. Yes, you did. I'm sorry. I know, but sorry doesn't pay for the therapy I missed or the independence you stole. Mom finally stood, straightening her designer clothes, probably the last ones she'd be able to afford for a while. This house has been in our family for generations. And now it's in my part of the family, I said. The part you forgot about while chasing Quentin's dreams. They left quietly after that, the U-Haul coughing to life in the driveway. I watched them pull away, Mom not looking back, Dad checking the rearview mirror one last time. Lucia wheeled me through the house, now fitted with proper ramps, wider doorways, and all the modifications that should have been done months ago. How does it feel? She asked. Like justice. Darnell started bringing in my new medical equipment, a proper therapy table, exercise machines, everything the settlement should have bought in the first place. The mail arrived as we were setting up. Among the envelopes was a letter from a funeral home. I opened it with trembling fingers. Your Aunt Margaret passed last week, Lena explained, having known about it already. She left you something. Inside was a notice of inheritance, a second chance at security, but there was a condition, full severance of ties with Mom. She knew, I whispered. Aunt Margaret knew what they were doing. What are you going to do? Lucia asked. I looked around my house, truly mine now, set up for my needs, not their greed. The therapy room waited, properly equipped. The accessible bathroom gleamed. Everything was as it should have been from the start. I lit a candle in the window, watching the flame flicker. The inheritance letter waited for my answer, but I wasn't ready to give it. Not yet. Some choices, I'd learned, deserved time to breathe. The autumn wind rustled through my newly installed automatic doors as I wheeled into my home office. My laptop displayed a fresh email from Lena. Another update about Quentin's legal troubles. The SEC investigation had expanded, and his investors were filing their own lawsuits. My phone buzzed, a text from Mom. Your brother might have to declare bankruptcy. Please, we need help. I set the phone down without replying. The last 3 messages had been similar. Pleas for money, attempts at guilt, desperate bargaining. The doorbell rang. Darnell answered it, then called out, It's Lucia, and someone else. I wheeled into the living room to find Lucia standing with a young woman in a wheelchair. This is Sarah, Lucia said. Remember how we talked about using part of the house as a therapy centre for others? Sarah smiled nervously. I heard what you did. Standing up to your family like that. It gave me courage to fight my own insurance battle. Before I could respond, another text came through, this time from Dad. Saw your interview in the Disability Rights newsletter. Proud of you. I know that doesn't make up for anything. He was right. It didn't. Come on, I told Sarah, leading her to the therapy room. Let me show you what proper accessibility looks like. As Lucia started their session, I wheeled to my office to finish some work. I'd found a remote position in patient advocacy, helping others navigate the medical system I'd learned to fight. The mail arrived, another letter from the funeral home about Aunt Margaret's inheritance. The deadline for accepting the conditions was approaching. A knock at the door interrupted my thoughts. Through the security camera, I saw Kayla standing there, shifting nervously. "What do you want?" I asked through the intercom. "To apologise," she said, "and to return something." I let her in. She placed Grandma's pearls on my desk. "I was angry," she explained, "at Quinton, at your parents, at everyone, but taking these was wrong." "Why return them now?" "Because I saw your interview too, about fighting for what's rightfully yours. Made me realise I was just being spiteful. Unlike them, you chose to make it right." She nodded. "Quinton's working at an insurance company now. Entry level. Your mum's selling her designer clothes online. Your dad..." She hesitated. "He's actually going to therapy. Says he needs to understand why he failed you." I hadn't known that last part. After she left, I called Lena. "I've made a decision about Aunt Margaret's inheritance," I told her. "And I'm accepting it. But I want to use part of it to start a foundation. For others like me, people fighting for their right to proper care. Your mother won't like being cut off officially. My mother stopped having a say in my life when she chose Quinton's dreams over my needs." That evening, as Sarah finished her therapy session, she paused by my desk. "Thank you," she said, "not just for sharing your space, but for showing me that fighting back isn't wrong." I thought about Mum's texts, Dad's therapy sessions, Quinton's new humble life, and Kayla's returned pearls. Fighting back isn't wrong, I agreed, but neither is moving forward. I picked up my phone and typed a response to Dad. "Proud isn't enough, but change might be a start." Then I wheeled myself to the front window, the same window where I'd once watched helplessly as they spent my future. Now I watched Sarah navigate her wheelchair down my properly graded ramp, heading toward her own future, stronger for having seen mine. Lucia appeared beside me. "Ready for your session?" "Actually," I said, "I think I'm ready for everything." I signed the inheritance acceptance papers that evening, adding my foundation plans as a codicil. Aunt Margaret would have appreciated that, using money to help others fight back, to claim their rights, to demand better. The house creaked softly around me, but it wasn't the sound of secrets anymore. It was the sound of justice, of consequences, of strength. My phone lit up one last time. A text from an unknown number. "Saw your interview. I'm fighting my parents too. They think my disability means they can control my settlement. Can you help?" I smiled and typed back, "Yes, and I know exactly where to start. Because that's what justice looks like. Not just winning your own fight, but helping others win theirs. I never wanted revenge. I wanted what they stole from me. Control over my own future." Turns out, getting the house back was just the beginning.